Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness while I am here in the land of the living. Wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice for mercy. I pour out before Him my complaint. Before Him I tell my trouble. Before Him I lay it all bare. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is You who wash my way. In the path where I walk, they have hidden a snare for me.
Good morning. My microphone actually better be working this time. Let me just make sure I can hear myself. Okay, I can. We're gonna dive right into the last bit of the Danish Deception. This has actually been on my brain all of yesterday because I'm so curious as to how this wraps up. Remember, this is a co-work with me / yap stream, so if you're not yapping, that's completely fine. I already see some of you logged in on YouTube ready to finish this series with me, so thank you so much for being here. And yeah, we're just going to get some casual work done and figure out how Onyeka's relationship with this man ended. Last time when we left off, he's now proposed to her officially, I guess, even though they're already married, and his dad unfortunately passed away, and Onyeka was saying how his reaction to his dad dying was a little bit more detached initially, and then he seemed to get emotional later on. So that's where we left off. We are now getting straight into part 17. So grab your drinks, grab your work, or go and do your workout if you're using this for workout accountability, and let's just dive right into it. And if you're watching on replay, thank you for being here. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, especially if you're on Twitch. All right, let's get into it, because I'm very curious. Like, my brain's ready.
Danish Deception, part 17. Okay, so I get a notification from immigration, log into my account, and lo and behold, the petition was approved. And I remember I was relieved for a few reasons. The first one is that, you know, obviously we get to start building a life here together in Dallas, but also if there was any skeletons from his past, I feel like it would not have been approved. So I almost felt like relief whenever I saw that.
Okay.
And so I called him, and obviously he was excited. We called our lawyer, asking her, you know, what are the next steps? And she said, well, you can stay in the States next time you come, and we can file for a work visa and a travel visa, but you're not gonna be able to go back to Denmark. And at this point he was like, since my dad's passed, like I can work remote. Work's been a little bit slow, so I can work remote. Obviously, I might have to pull some all-nighters, which isn't ideal, but it's worth it to be with you. And so I said, okay, that's fine. After a couple of weeks, he comes back to Dallas, and he comes with his mom this time. This is her first time in the United States. And I remember just being so excited, and I wanted her to have the best time because, you know, she's just lost her husband of 50 years. And I go to DFW to pick them up. I had a big sign saying, welcome to Dallas, and I also got his mom some flowers, and it was just such a special moment. She had like this American flag draped around her, and she's just like so proud to be in the States. So we come back home, I cook dinner, And we just spent the week exploring Dallas, and then we had gone to Key West for about 5 days. We did Miami and Key West with his mom. And I will say a lot of that trip was paid for by his mom. She wanted to cover a lot of it, which was just so sweet. And then, like, I remember I paid for the flights, and then he paid for a bunch of stuff while we got there, but she paid for most of the hotel. So we all kind of like paid for a little bit. But you know, I know y'all haven't forgotten this man still owes me money. And so I remember we were in Key West and I said, hey, are you going to start sending me some funds? And it was awkward because I wanted to bring it up for a while, but then,
Take your
you know, we went to Panama, he paid for everything. Then his dad passed away and I didn't like, it's just, now it's getting kind of awkward for me to bring it up. And so he's like, yeah, I'm going to send you some money. We go through the trip in Key West, have a good time, come back to the States. He still hasn't sent me money. He's giving me like kind of like the turnaround, and I'm getting a little antsy and I'm getting very triggered. And so we're in the living room and he says he wants to just go on the balcony and get some fresh air. And I start creeping. I walk up to the window and I'm trying to like look over his shoulder at his phone, and he doesn't know I'm looking. And on his phone, I see there's a gambling website, and my stomach is in knots. And
what did I tell you?
is currently in the living room with me, so there's nothing that I can really say.
What did I tell you? I told you. I hate being like I told you so, girly, but I told you. The fact that he proposed to her once again when they were on a high, to me, I felt like that was so calculated and manipulative, because 2 months is not long enough to determine if this man has truly started overcoming his addiction for you to recommit your life to him and to announce to your friends and family that you guys are officially engaged, even though y'all are already married. She should have. I feel like her misstep in this aspect of the relationship on the addiction side was that she didn't talk to the sponsor more on like what was an appropriate timeline and what should she be looking out for in terms of him potentially falling back into gambling, because gambling is so easily accessible now, especially for those of you who have heard of like sites like Stake, where they even advertise on streamer platforms and stuff like that to children, which is insane. And even in terms of like just mobile apps on your phone, it is so easily accessible. So if he has a phone, he has access to gambling at his fingertips. So it's so much. I feel like gambling would be so much harder to get to overcome as an addiction in this day and age, because it is so easily accessible at our fingertips. I hate that for her, but at the same time, it's like, girl.
Because again, I'm still wanting to protect him. And again, I will repeat this one more time. I wanted to tell everyone about his addiction and our issues. I wanted to tell the world, but he very much said everyone's going to view me differently. With the excuse with his mom, he was like, she's an old woman, you're going to stress her out, and she's not going to be able to do anything about it, and now she's just stressed. So he was able to manipulate me into not bringing it up to anyone. And so his mom is here, and I don't say a word. Instead, I send him a text, and I just say, and it's weird because he's in the same, like he's 5 feet from me, and I send him a text saying, I see a gambling website on your phone. I'm going to need to see your bank statements as soon as possible. And he tells me, you know, I'm only on this website because that's where I can watch sports for free. And I was just like, huh? This makes no sense. Obviously, I'm detecting all the bullshit. So I say, I want to see your bank statements right now. He pulls them up. And like at this point, he has his Revolut statements, which I don't know if you guys remember, the very first time I sent him money, I downloaded an app called Revolut.
Yes.
Kind of like Venmo. Yeah. He uses that for a lot of things in the States because you basically get the local currency rate if you use Revolut, and he had like a physical card that was tied to his Revolut. So I wanted to see that. So he printed out, or didn't print out, he showed me like the statements directly from his phone for Revolut, and then he showed me his Danish bank account and the transactions. And I went through everything with a fine-tooth comb over the course of like months and did not see anything alarming at all. So obviously I saw this gambling website on his phone, but I checked his bank accounts, I didn't see anything. So I let it go, but I was very clear, I better not ever see this on your phone ever, ever, ever again. So his mom leaves after having a great trip.
it's great that she's setting her boundary, but once again, we're dealing with an addiction and there's no follow through. Once again, it is not her job to police this man, but at the same time, she chose to continue to stay with a man who is actively in his addiction. And the fact that she's just like going by trust or by word of mouth to trust this man to not pop onto an app on his phone that allows him to gamble is insane. At minimum, there should have been like, okay, we installed an app blocker. You can no longer have access to this app unless you get the pin from me, a pin that I've set. I feel like she's there's like an underestimation of how how invasive like the addiction can be, because this man has fallen into his addiction. Obviously I don't think like he was clean for like 10 years or anything like that. Obviously he's still been very active in his addiction since his best friend knew about it. So the fact that she's expecting him to just like, hey, I told you, you can't do it again, it's not going to happen. Because if he was able to kick the addiction and overcome it the first time, when there was the very high likelihood of him losing you, he would have done it back then. That's not to say that an addict can't overcome their addiction, but within the current circumstances, it's just his addiction, his access to his substance of choice, which is in this case is gambling, is just way too easy because he still has a phone. And I know that sounds insane in a world where we have our phones all the time and he does have a genuine job that makes him need his phone, but at minimum there should have been an app blocker that was installed on his phone where she's the one who has the pin to it. Heck, they could have downloaded all the freaking gambling games onto his phone, and then she could have blocked it, and then they could have hidden the apps so that he can't get access to it, because app blockers, they also allow you to block certain websites, so they could have even blocked gambling sites.
And at this point, I'm still like waiting for these transfers, and I'm like, what's going on? And he keeps telling me that he has things to pay for. Like he said he was helping his mom out with something, and then he said that he had another insurance payment, and there was a few things that he said he had. And then finally I'm like, okay, I'm done with the bullshit. Like, you need to start transferring me some money. And so basically he tells me that he's transferred a certain amount. He has a transfer limit that he can transfer to his Revolut, which is how he can send me money. And he's hit his monthly transfer limit. I don't really know what the fuck that means, but he said he hit it. And so I'm still very frustrated, but he basically says that he can't send me any more money until August timeframe. And during that time, his best friend came to visit, and the same best friend that was with him whenever I met him in Croatia. And what my ex didn't know was that I was in communication with his best friend, talking to him about the gambling, the issues. I didn't tell my ex that I was talking to him, but I just wanted to speak to someone from his past. Obviously, keep in mind that I don't have a lot of people to talk to, so it just made me feel a lot less alone. But basically, I'm putting more pressure on my ex, being like, hey, like, you need to start sending me money. And keep in mind, I'm also paying for like most of the household bills, and now like he's here full time. Like, you gotta pitch in, bro. And I'm not here to be your sugar mama, even though I have low-key been your sugar mama unintentionally. So I'm getting frustrated, and we get a notification that his work visa has been approved. And so I'm excited about this because this means that he can get a social, he can get a bank account. And something to keep in mind is when you're married to a gambling addict, you want to make sure you take full financial control. And that was hard for me to do because with his Danish bank account, he had like a 2-factor authentication that scanned his face, so I couldn't just like log in whenever. But with Chase, I was like, all I need is a password. So we go to Chase, he opens up a bank account, and he says, I'm just gonna make a transfer from my Danish bank directly to my Chase bank, and then I'll be able to start sending you money via Zelle. And I'm like, okay, perfect, that works. Because he had like this limit on Revolut, or I couldn't remember the details, but I remember it didn't make sense. And every time I pressured him like for it to make more sense, he would gaslight me, and so we wouldn't get anywhere. And so I was getting very frustrated.
Understandably.
But I'm like, okay, now you have Chase. So he tells me that he makes a big transfer to Chase, and that he is waiting for that to hit. And a couple days go by, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, okay, the transfer hit. And he shows me an email from Chase, and it said, like, we need to verify your identity. And he's like, oh, Chase is asking me for this verification, and because I haven't done this verification, my account's locked. I'm like, okay, stop bullshitting. I know Chase. I go to Chase. I've been banking at Chase for a long time, and I felt like he was bullshitting.
Yeah.
And so he said, you know what? Let's go to the bank and talk about it, because, I mean, I know I have money in there because I made this transfer like a while ago. And I said, okay, let's go to Chase. And this is when I start like thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to play a game. We're going to go to Chase, and I'm going to try to get out of the car and go into the bank with him. If he says, no, you should just wait in the car, I'm going to know he's hiding something. And I really just wanted to see how he would react. So we go to Chase. He gets out of the car, and I start to get out of the car. He's like, oh, I'm just going to be in and out, babe. You can just wait in the car. And I'm like, red flag. And you know what? I let him do his thing. I let him go inside. I'm like, okay, let's see what he comes back with. So he comes back, and he says, hey, I'm able to take out, like, it was like $1,000 he's able to send to me. And he's like, here's like $1,000. I go, at this point, he told me he was going to send me like 5,000. And so I'm like, what's going on? Are you lying? He was like, no, I'm not lying. I was like, well, I'm tired of carrying this relationship on my back, and I'm over it. And that was like, this is when I start really standing up for myself and telling him that I'm just done with the bullshit. Yeah. And he gets so angry with me. I remember he had his gym bag in the car because the plan was for us to go to the bank, me drop him off at the bank, or me drop him off at the gym, and then I was going to go to a showing. I drop him off at the gym, and he slams the car door. He goes, don't worry about picking me up, I'll walk home. And I get home, and I'm like, can we please talk about this, because I want to squash this. He goes, the way you talked to me was so disrespectful, and I'm not okay with it. There's money in that account. And I said, listen, I'm getting triggered. Like, I feel like you're lying about a lot of things, and it's making me feel like you're gambling. So I just need you to tell me the truth. He's like, I am telling you the truth. And like, you disrespected me, making me feel like less of a man, that like you've, supported us more than I have. And I was like,
he feels like less of a man because he is being less of a man. You are living off of your wife, even though you claim to be a provider. You are not able to give her the money that you still owe her. You are still actively lying and actively in your addiction. These are not manly moves. Like, sorry, it is what it is. You can't be honest and forthcoming as a man. Like, in my personal opinion, you're not a man. And I know that kind of sucks, especially knowing that he is actively in his addiction. But all of these things he's trying to throw back on her to make her feel guilty, to try and emotionally manipulate her. And in this situation, once again, this is not a situation I would not be in a confrontation with someone who you still don't know. Like, she still doesn't really know this man. You don't know the extent of where his emotional reactions will go to. And right now you've backed him into a corner where you've caught him in another lie. And you know how previously when he was caught in the lie, he ended up crying and everything like that. Well, now the response is anger. Like, we still don't know this man. So I would not be confronting him in this way, shape, or form. Like in closed spaces and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, if you told me that you feel disrespected, and like you feel like you're not, you feel like I'm making you feel like you're less of a man. Well, you feel like you're less of a man because you know you're not showing up how a man should be. You know you're not showing up in the relationship how you told me that you'd show up in the relationship. So that's on you. That's not on me. All I'm asking for is for my money. All I'm asking for is for your actions to match your words. And the fact that your actions and your words are not matching, that is not on me. So I do not know how she got through this conversation, because one thing about me, especially after being in a narcissistic abuse relationship, if you try to gaslight me, I will logic the F out of you, and I will ratio you. I like, not to say I can't be gaslit, because I mean, I feel like we're all susceptible to some extent, but I can't be gaslit in a situation like this, where I have cold hard facts and cold hard proof, and you're trying to tell me how I'm making you feel like less of a man. Feel like less of a man, because you currently are not acting how a man should. The F?
I'm not trying to make you feel like less of a man. I'm just telling you that I'm fucking tired of carrying this shit on my back. And
Valid.
He storms off, goes upstairs, goes in the guest bedroom, closes the door, and he refuses to talk to me and like locks the door. And I'm like, what is going on? I remember just being so angry, because I'm like, you're the one with the addiction. You're the one that's hurt me, and somehow you're finding a way to put it all on me, and that's not okay. So I remember being really upset. And so basically I had a work event that night, And I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to go. And then finally I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go. I need to get out of the house. So I go. And at this point, it's really hard for me to hide my emotions. And a lot of the people at my last real estate firm probably remember this event. I showed up and I just was like bawling my eyes out. And like a lot of people didn't know what was going on, but I was just really, really sad and struggling a lot because I just felt like I was being gaslit. And I remember there was one of my coworkers and we were sitting in a corner at this event, and I actually ended up telling her about my ex's addiction because I just in that moment needed to talk to someone about it. And she was so sweet, so welcoming. Shout out to you, you know who you are. And so basically I go back home and he's upstairs in the bedroom not wanting to talk to me. So I'm like, can we please talk? He's like, I don't want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. So basically I'm on the couch, and it kind of worked out because we have some really good friends that they have cars that they use for Toro that they own. And we had picked up one of their cars because they were out of town earlier that day, and their car was outside and the keys were right on the counter. And so I was like, you know what? I know the PIN code to his Danish card. I bet it's the same PIN code for his Chase card. And so what I did was I grabbed the key to the car, my friend's car, and I like kind of sneakily snuck out of the house because I didn't want him to hear the garage be like, where's she going? So I snuck out of the house. I went to Chase and I put his card in. I put in the PIN code and it was accepted. And I clicked the lovely button that said check balance. And what was in his account?
0.
34 cents. And we will continue on in part 18.
Because at this point, he's still working his job that pays him $400,000 a year, right? So, 34 cents. 34 cents. Man, that man's gambling. Wow.
The Danish Deception, part 18. Where did we leave off at? Oh yeah, 34 cents. So I look at his bank balance and it's 34 cents. And at this point it's 1 a.m., which is why I was super sneaky with the way I got into my friend's car and went to the ATM because I didn't want him to hear the garage and be like, where's she going? So when I came home, I literally popped melatonin and went to bed. I didn't even want to open that can of worms because it's late at night. So the next morning I wake up, I look at him, I go, I have something to bring up to you and you better not lie. And I don't even think you're going to be able to lie. And he goes, what is it? Then I pull up the phone because
once again, PSA safety, please never, ever confront your manipulator, abuser, toxic ex, and or your partner who lied about his addiction and is currently actively in his addiction. Never confront them in this way, please, ever, behind closed doors in the morning, with information that you know is probably going to lead to a huge emotional reaction. Because in this situation, once again, I am so grateful that this woman is alive, because there have been so many points in this series where this man could have flipped the switch and she could have been gone. But this is just so dangerous. I cannot believe that she confronted him behind closed doors. Like, first thing, like, this is absolutely insane. I can't imagine the emotional reaction being good, but she's still alive, so thank the Lord for that. Never do this. Like, if you're with someone you find out is emotionally manipulating you, scamming you, active in an addiction, please do these confrontations, do these conversations in public, or notify your friends and your family that you're going to do this confrontation so they can check in on you, and then call the cops if anything goes wrong and you stop answering. Because this is where people end up, unfortunately, being 6 feet under because of confrontations and conversations like this, when they end up finding or catching the person that they're with in a lie, and then they try to potentially leave as well. Oh, she makes me anxious.
I, took a picture of his bank balance. I'm like, this is actually the balance in your bank account. And he just looks at me and he's at a loss for words. And for a narcissist, that's the most beautiful thing in the world, when they have literally nothing to say.
No. For a narcissist, that is a very scary moment when they have nothing to say, because when a narcissist is backed into a corner, that's when people end up 6 feet under. If you've ever seen narcissistic rage, it is insane. It is scary. I've seen it. It was one of the first moments where I'm like, if you don't sit down, I'm actually going to call the cops. That was the Second time with my ex that I had ever feared for my life, and he had yet to put his hands on me. Keyword yet. And I got out before he did, because I've seen this man punch through a freaking door. Narcissistic rage when they feel like they're losing control, when they're backed into a corner. This is not a beautiful thing to see. This is one of the scariest moments in your life if you're with a narcissistic abuse partner, because you don't know what emotion is going to come next. And for quite a few women, the emotion that comes next often is a full-on rage, and that leads to them being 6 feet under. So if you are in a narcissistic abuse relationship and you experience something like this, do not do this confrontation behind closed doors, because this is where you can truly, truly get hurt, even if that person has never put their hands on you before. She, once again, is giving me so much effing anxiety.
But I remember just looking at him and saying, you're a liar. You don't have any money in your account. You're supposed to be the one responsible for bills. And I know you're gambling. And he told me, I am 100% not gambling. I promise you the transfer was supposed to hit and
Okay,
it didn't hit. And I felt like if I told you I didn't receive the money, you would have thought I was lying. So let me get this straight. Instead of telling me the truth, you lied to me because you were afraid that I was going to think you were lying. Makes perfect sense. So at that point, I'm just so irritated and just honestly disgusted by him. And I told him, well, listen, I don't want to be around you today until you tell me the truth of what's going on. Because at this point, I felt like he was gambling and I just didn't want to talk to him. So I luckily had a few showings, went to the showings, and my best friend Onyeka, who lives here in Dallas, calls me. And I'm not even kidding. I answer the phone and I immediately start crying. And she's like, come over. I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I go to her house and I sit her down and I tell her everything. And this was just a very, very, very heartbreaking time for me, because this is now another close friend that I'm letting in. And I'm telling you all, when I let it out, I let it out. And it was just so heartbreaking. And she was such a good friend. She just listened to me. She didn't tell me you need to leave him, even though at this point, I felt like there's no way he's going to change, but I'm still so blinded by love and still very much brainwashed to think that this man is everything to me. And I decided to...
Once again, as a Christian woman, that's insane. I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to lovingly rebuke her on that. That is absolutely insane. This is why we do need to read our Bibles more. God would not send you a man that you would end up idolizing over him. That this just points to how unhealthy this attachment is. And I do pray that Onyeka has ended up like going to therapy to figure out what led to such a severe attachment where this man is her everything. Because in this life, yes, we're going to find partners that we absolutely love, but to make someone your everything is such a dangerous space to put yourself in, because you have so many other things to live for, including God. Like God is, like I said in the first dream, God is the only person that can destroy me. A man having the power to destroy me. And I'm speaking as someone who has found the love of their life. If I ended up losing my partner, we're no longer together, whatever that ends up being, I know that's not going to destroy me because God has carried me through everything. So to place a man and to give him so much power over you when you have God in your life, that is a very, very concerning place to be.
Go back home, and I had a conversation with him, and I said, listen, I'm just going to start distancing myself right now. I don't know where to go from here. I feel like you're always lying to me, and it's getting really, really difficult. And so it was a couple days, and, you know, we're still like getting along, but he can definitely tell that I'm pulling back because I still know that there's something he's hiding. And something to keep in mind is that he has a Danish phone and he has a US phone, because when he got his work visa approved, he got a US number. Especially when he was applying for jobs, he didn't want to put like a Danish phone number, which makes sense. And so for the most part, he was using his US phone. While he was here, he would use his Danish phone like at nighttime. But his US phone is what he used to communicate with everyone. So the Danish phone, he actually leave that out all the time. And so he was downstairs, I was upstairs. I see his Danish phone on the nightstand, and I'm not ashamed to admit that at this point I had been going through his phone very frequently, So I open up his phone, go to the Safari page, open up, see the gambling website that's just right in front of my face, and I am just gut wrenched. And I can see how much money he can gamble and what he's betting on. And I kid you not, first of all, it was $5,000 that he was gambling. And second of all, he was gambling on the most random sports in the most random countries that I'm like, what is this? Like, this makes no sense. And I go downstairs with his phone and I'm bawling my eyes out at this point.
Sorry, I know that this is like a sensitive moment for her. The main reason I'm laughing is because I feel like because this man has presented himself to be so intelligent, he created this grandiose image, right? Like she probably expected that he was gambling with some sort of like common sense potentially, but I'm just like, girl, you're with someone who's an addict. An addict is an addict for a reason, right? They get to a point where they completely lose control. So the fact that she was shocked, like he's just betting on the most random things, like yeah, because he's actively in his addiction. Like this man doesn't have a sense of control anymore over what he's doing. Otherwise, he would be able to stop, right? So I just found it funny how like she described that, and I understand where it's coming from because this man, he presents himself as to be like someone who's super intelligent, super important, all of these things, and then she just goes into his gambling app just to see that like there's no logic behind what he's doing. And of course there's no logic behind what he's doing and what he's betting on because he is currently actively in his addiction.
Because I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm exhausted, I'm so tired. And at this point I'm asking myself, like, how can I still be in love with this man when he causes me this much pain? Like, and the craziest part was that he was still lying. He said,
because you don't love yourself enough. That is just going to be, or you don't love God more than this relationship to be able to get yourself out of it. And that's not to say that you can't love someone who is not the healthiest for you and love yourself enough to get out of it. That's just to say right now, this man literally just took over her and she forgot about loving herself more than she loves this man so that she could get out. Like it's not abnormal to have these conflicting feelings, but there should have been a point a long time ago where she loved herself enough to distance herself and to separate herself, even though she truly loves this man or loves God enough to get herself out of this, because God is not an author of confusion. And this is a very confused situation that should have never happened had she followed her intuition.
I told you I watch sports on that website. And I was like, you're an idiot. Like, you are an idiot. Like, you're gambling. I can see the money in there. So either you want to be honest with me or get out of the house because I don't even want to look at your face. And so he keeps trying to lie to me, keeps trying to bullshit me. And then I'd say, you know what? I'm just going to pack my bags and just go to my friend's house. And then he said, okay, I'll leave. I'll go to the gym. I'll go run some errands. So he leaves the house and I'm sitting there. The first thing I do is call crypto and I'm literally in tears. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. And he said, Onyeka, this is literally not your fault. You are doing everything you can to be a supportive spouse to this man. And it's not your fault that he cannot stop lying to you. And he had told me previously, like we had owed them $200,000, but he said the amount of crypto that my ex had borrowed from him at that time was $160K. And so he said, listen, because that's the amount that he borrowed at the time, obviously the crypto had gone up. I think it had gone up to like 300K at that point. And when his wife had brought it up to me, it had gone up to 200K, gone up even higher. He said, how about you guys just pay us the original amount that was borrowed? And I said, I just feel like that's not fair to you. And he said, I promise you I'm okay. Another reason to just love crypto. He's amazing. And one thing he said to me was that if you're not seeing him want the progress for himself, that's when there's a problem.
Yep.
So you need to know when you've had enough, and you need to know if he's not taking this seriously and taking his recovery seriously.
Yep.
And I agreed with him. And you know, I will be honest, like I, in that moment, was not ready to leave him. I still was fully in love with him, still fully brainwashed into thinking that he was this great person. So Crypto said we could skip that month's payment and then pick back up the next month because he knew I was, carrying everything on my back, and he didn't want me to bleed myself dry because of my ex's issues. And it's kind of messed up that I was even the one that was having these conversations with him and not my ex. And
I do want to clarify, because I forgot, at this point she's so deeply into this abusive relationship, because that's what it is, that I forget that she's in the cycle of abuse. So I will retract my statement on her not loving herself enough to get out of the relationship, because that would have applied more at the beginning, where they weren't actually, she wasn't fully into the abuse cycle. But now I'm just like, oh yeah, right now she's fully in the cycle of abuse. So this is not, when you're fully into the cycle of abuse, because I've been there, it's not really predicated on self-love to necessarily get out of it, because the abuse cycle can be so strong because of the highs and the lows. I do truly believe that self-love does play a huge part in getting out, because for me, I went back to Christ after my narcissistic abuse relationship, but I was also like, hey, yeah, I don't want to end up 6 feet under, so that is one of the reasons I left. So for me at least, getting out, self-love was involved in it. But for some people, getting out, it's because of kids, it could be because of God, and or it could be because of external forces too. So I do want to retract my statement on her not loving herself enough to get out of this current situation, because she is now fully in the cycle of abuse. So that's not on her. And I don't want to make anyone feel like I am victim blaming, because that's not on her, when at this point this is fully on an abusive relationship.
I just took ownership, because I've never owed anyone money before, and I wanted to do what was right, and I wanted to be respectful of him. And so I also told him, just so you know, he has a business account that's going to be opened back up in July, because it had an 18-month hold. So once that's lifted, we'll be able to pay you back the rest of the money that we owe you. So keep that in mind. We're gonna obviously pick back up on the payment, so you will be made whole. And he said, okay, that's totally fine. And so we left it at that. My ex comes home, and I sit him down, and this is the first time that I bring up divorce. And I tell him, right now, I don't know if I can be in this marriage anymore, and I really am contemplating filing for divorce and calling my parents and telling them everything. And he said,
once again, this conversation with a partner like this, not something that you do behind closed doors, or not a conversation that you have without alerting some friends and family beforehand. Because I mentioned on Monday evening, the video that I was watching, a true crime video, unfortunately was a woman who ended up 6 feet under because she had told her husband that she was going to leave. And you can hear, it's so tragic. You can hear in the video recording that her neighbor's camera had captured, her screaming I'll stay, please get away from me. And he was just shouting no, you're not going to ever leave me. And then ended up pulling out a pew pew and doing that. And it was absolutely horrific. So once again, these conversations with a partner who you still don't really know, they're volatile, their emotional reactions could go either which way. Please do not have these conversations behind closed doors when you have a manipulative, controlling, unhealthy partner. Whew. So very grateful that she's alive.
Please, I cannot lose you. I'm going to get better. He said, I want to get better. I want to get better for me and for you. And so I said, at this point, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit back and watch you, and I'll decide if I want to stay with you. And he said, okay, I'll prove it to you. So over the course of the next, I will say 4 months, this was October 2024. And over the course of the next 4 months, like I said, I'm not going to just sit here and ramble. I'm trying to get to the good part, guys. I promise. I remember his mom had come back to visit us for Thanksgiving. Leaves. She met my parents. It went great. The following month, my mom came back, spent Christmas with us. Things were going good. And I remember when January hit, I was almost a little bit excited, because I was this is the year the business account's going to open up. And it had been about 3 months since his relapse, and I felt like he was making a lot of effort to get better. He was going to GA meetings, he was going to therapy, he was having money in his account, all the good signs. And he had the 2 apartments in Copenhagen and was putting in a notice to kick the tenants out so that he could sell those apartments. So basically the plan was to use the business account to pay for our wedding, to pay off crypto, and then we were gonna sell the 2 apartments, and that was gonna be like our base to start like investing and build our foundation here in Dallas. And we had
we're still going forward with the wedding. Like my brain is okay. Okay, we are still moving. We didn't pause the wedding plan. Wow. Okay. Wow. I can't believe that the wedding is even still something that we're factoring in at this point. Like at this point, I genuinely feel like everything should have been taken off the plate until there was consistent proof that he's kicked his addiction. Because the fact that you're still planning a wedding, what if he relapses before your wedding? Like this is, and I know for her, like, in terms of like telling Nigerian parents like, oh, we're going to delay the wedding, or we might be calling off the wedding, would be a lot to take on, especially like emotionally, and for your ego as well. But that would be the best option in this situation, so that you don't drag your family into this cycle of addiction that they don't know about still, to my understanding. Oh my goodness. I know that they're already married, but like the wedding would be fully solidifying it from an African cultural perspective. Like that's it. At this point, they could go and get divorced and it's not going to make a lot of ripples. But like once they get married and go through the entire ceremony with her family, and she decides to like leave that's going to be a much harder thing to navigate, depending on how her parents are like, because some parents will literally be like, stay with your abuser, which is trash in the African culture. But sometimes parents value marriage so much more than sometimes the safety of their own children, that they can encourage you to stay in a situation that is still not healthy for you. Dang, I can't believe she's still planning the wedding at this point. That's insane.
Kind of delayed wedding planning because, you know, we wanted to be smart financially. We're not going to plan a wedding a year after.
It shouldn't be about being financially smart. It should be about making sure that he's actually kicked his addiction before you officially marry an addict in front of your entire family. Like, yes, the finances are important, but I mean, previously, y'all have gone on trips on your credit cards and everything like that.
All this stuff happened, and also like, you know, we wanted to prioritize paying back crypto, but we were looking at the numbers, and with the business account we were going to be able to make crypto whole, and we'd have some extra money for the wedding. And in addition to that, you know, we were both making an income, so we were starting to talk about wedding plans. Obviously I'm Nigerian and my parents are very traditional, and I love my culture, and I was excited to do a traditional wedding. And I was talking to my parents about what I wanted, and I was like, maybe we could do a wedding in Nigeria. And, you know, they were really excited about it. They were hyped to plan it. You know, they loved my ex, and, you know, we were getting excited. And so my mom said that they were going to go starting to look at venues and all the things. And at this point, I kind of figured that my parents were going to cover the traditional wedding because we were going to cover the white wedding. When I say white wedding, I mean white dress. So yeah. Traditional wedding, the Nigerian wedding, white wedding is like white dress walking down the aisle. So in case you hear me say that, not because I'm marrying a white guy. So I'm talking wedding plans with my mom, and she brings up finances, and that's when she proceeds to tell me that my ex has told her that he is going to pay for both weddings in full. And I'm sitting there just confused because I'm thinking about the money that we have coming in and our 2 salaries. I'm like, okay, we're good to pay back crypto and we're good for our white wedding, but we don't have any wiggle room to pay for an additional wedding.
Yeah.
So I call him up, and at this point I'm angry. I go, why did you commit to paying for a wedding without telling me? And I will continue on in part 19.
That's the narcissism.
Danish Deception, part 19. And I don't want to waste y'all's time. So this part's actually going to cover between January 2025 and July of 2025. Okay. So I call my ex and I'm just so confused. Why did you commit to paying $10,000 for this wedding? I just do not understand. And he said, well, you know, I really just wanted to help your parents out. And now I understand narcissists have this need and desire to be admired. And that's where it came from. It wasn't just him wanting to be a good person. But I was super frustrated, and we talked about it, went back and forth. And like, we don't have to do this. Like, my parents are very generous. I know they'd be more than happy to like pay for the wedding. But he said, no, like, let's just give them something. Let's give them $10,000. I was like, I just feel like we don't need to do that. He's like, no, let's do it. So I call my mom and my dad, and I said, hey, are you guys comfortable with us paying $10,000? And they're like, absolutely, that's fine. Like, we'll cover the rest. And they loved my ex, and they were excited for this wedding. And side note, I had communicated to my parents about the business account. So I told them, we're going to end up paying you in July, if that's okay with you, just because we had a bunch of expenses. They didn't know about like the payments of crypto and everything, but I just said, hey, we're going to pay you in July. I hope you're okay with that. And they were more than fine with that. And so we put that to rest. I need you guys to remember that $10,000 that was promised to my parents. There's a reason why I'm bringing it up. It's going to come back in the end. So now it's January of 2025. We are in this year, you guys. I promise this is coming to a close tomorrow, so get ready. But it's January 2025. We get the news that his green card has been approved. Wow. And we're so excited. And I remember just being over the moon. And one of the biggest reasons why we were excited is because our very, very best friends were getting married in March in Spain. So we were so hyped and excited to go celebrate them. And at first we didn't even know if we could go to the wedding. And so when the petition got approved, it meant that he can like travel out of the States. And so we're getting super excited. We weren't just going to Spain. We were also going to go to see his family in Denmark because his little nephew was getting baptized. And then we were also going to go to Portugal for 2 days to look at wedding venues. So this was a very, very exciting trip for us. And before you guys come for me, we were in what I thought was a great financial position, and we were up to date on our payments with crypto. So it was okay for us to go on these trips. So we have such an amazing time at the wedding. It was a very small, intimate wedding.
I want to be happy for her, but once again, we're still dealing with an addict. So I'm just like, when I'm waiting for the shoe to drop again. That's exactly like where my brain is at right now. When is the shoe going to drop again? That's why, like, I can see, once again, you can see that there's love there. She really loved this man. My brain is just like, okay, when does the other shoe drop? Because right now you guys are on a high. The abuse cycle, the narcissistic abuse cycle, there's always a high, and then the come down is always brutal.
There's 30 people there. It was perfect. And afterwards we went and saw his family, went to his nephew's baptism, spent a lot of time with his extended family too. That was wonderful. And then we went to Portugal to look at venues. And I remember I set up a couple tours, and I made sure to be very mindful of cost because obviously I wanted us to be smart and I didn't want us to go over budget. And I remember having a conversation with him, telling him that, listen, I do not want this wedding if it's going to jeopardize your sobriety. So if we need to wait a year, if we want to renew our vows at year 5, we can do that. I do not want this wedding to put any pressure on you. And he said, you know, the business account's going to open up this summer. We're going to be okay. I promise. I don't want you to stress about that. And so I believed him and I trusted him. So we look at a couple different venues and we find one that we really like, and it's very reasonably priced. The deposit was only like 1,500 euros. And he said that his mom was going to actually pay for it. And I said, hey, that's fine. That works perfectly for me. So we get home and he said, you know, I just feel like it doesn't make sense for me to have $60,000 to $70,000 worth of watches. So I think I'm going to sell my watches. And I asked him, I'm like, are you 100% sure? He said, yes, like it's unnecessary, especially with like us like trying to accomplish all of these financial goals, and just having these expensive watches just does not make sense. And so I 100% supported him. And so he packed up the watches in the boxes, and then he left the house and came back and was like, okay, I just took him to a showroom. I'm waiting for them to sell. Obviously, I don't have the money yet, but hopefully they'll sell within the next, I don't know, like a couple weeks to a month. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So that was April of 2025. And in May of 2025, we decided that we wanted to build up his credit score so that we could maybe buy a house within the next couple of years. And his credit was basically zero because he had just moved to the States. And so I had a credit card that we had just paid off. It had a zero balance. And so I was like, okay, let's add you on this card. And so we added him, and he had no plans to even really use this card. It was just, you know, for me to use for like groceries.
I'm really hoping that credit card only had $1,000 limit. Oh my goodness. It is beautiful that she was able to get back to this place of trust, but once again, we're dealing with an addict. To my knowledge, we didn't put any app blockers on the phone. We're just going by trust that he's not on these gambling sites anymore. And she is about to give him a credit card. Oh, girly pop. Okay.
We were just really trying to build up
My
his
anxiety is
credit.
like,
And so I looked at the balance one day and it was super high and I was so confused. And I started going through the details and I saw that there was a cash advance for $7,000. And I was like, what is going on? Mind you, I'm not home. I had just finished a showing. So I'm in my car about to head home and I call him and I'm like, what is this cash advance? And I go, you better tell me the truth immediately. I do not want any bullshit. And he comes out and he tells me, I relapsed again. I've been gambling again. And that was the very first time that I just came out and asked him, and he said yes. And keep in mind, his last relapse was October. This was now June. And so obviously I'm hurt. I'm sad, but I'm also like so grateful that he told me the truth. I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was thank you so much for telling me the truth, because I just was grateful that he didn't automatically lie about it. So I come home. I'm obviously very upset.
the bar is so low, and I know once again she chose to stay with someone who's active in her addiction, and you do have to celebrate moments like that where they're no longer lying to you. But like the bar has been lowered so much in this relationship. It's great that he's not trying to gaslight her, trying to lie about it anymore. But I genuinely wonder, is this the first time that is this act like did he actually go those like what 8 months without a relapse? I'm doubtful, because when you guys have money coming in, that doesn't mean that he, couldn't have taken $100 here, $100 there, and like just, gotten his fix in small chunks. I am doubtful, but we'll continue.
But I'm trying to meet him in a peaceful way because he is trying to be honest with me. So I walk into the house and I'm like, tell me everything. And he said, okay, well, I took a salary advance in May and I tried to recoup it. And I actually ended up selling the Rolexes and taking that money and gambling it away. And so I took the money from the cash advance to try to win it back. And I haven't spent it yet. I still have some of that. And you guys, this was such a weird experience because I was so angry and hurt that I was still going through this, but this was the first time that he was being open and honest with me, quote unquote. So I was grateful for that. So I told him, I'm like,
I feel like it's a partial truth, because now it's been since October to June that he's had his relapses, October to May. But it's like, okay, if he relapsed in May, then how many other potential other relapses has he not told you about? Because now it shows us that there wasn't full transparency about the financial situation. She wasn't monitoring every single dollar that was going in and out. So there would have been multiple opportunities where he could have been gambling without her knowing. But because they're on this high again where everything's good, everything's amazing, she thinks that everything's good. Like, he's actually been clean. He's been out of his addiction for 8 months. I highly doubt it's been 8 months. Highly, highly doubt.
Okay, well, I just have to ask you a question. Is this because the business account doesn't exist? Like, I just don't understand why you would relapse when this money's coming. He goes, babe, like, you just don't understand gambling. Like, it just, sometimes it happens and there's no rhyme or reason. Yeah. And so I said, okay, I just need to confirm with you again, is this business account exists? He said 100% it exists. And I'm sorry, I promise you, like, if this feels different, like, just being able to like come forward to you, be honest with you, I feel like I really am changing.
This is also
and I
another
be
manipulation
better.
tactic.
And this money's gonna hit. We're gonna have our dream wedding, and everything's gonna be okay. And so I believe him, and I trust him. And then fast forward to July, I ended up having a bachelorette party for one of my good friends, Tracy. And while I'm at the bachelorette party, I knew the date of the hearing with the Danish IRS for his business account to open up. I knew that was going to be while I was on the bachelorette in the middle of July. And so I remember I was on the bachelorette and I woke up early on the second day I was there because I knew that was the day of the hearing. And I get a text from him and he says, call me when you can. And we will pick up the rest in part 20. And tomorrow is the grand finale. And I hope y'all are ready because it's about to get absolutely insane. The Danish.
I feel like I'm not ready because every time I think that she's going to leave, we find a reason, rationalization, and once again, not victim blaming, because I understand being in this cycle, and I'm very grateful that I got out before things got even worse than they already were. But At this point, I feel like there's nothing that she could say that would surprise me. Oh my goodness. Just happy that she's alive and she got out.
Deception part 20. So after today, all the parts will be fully completed, and I need y'all to just bear with me. This was a very traumatic and emotional experience for everyone that was involved, and so you're gonna see tears, and I'm gonna try to keep my composure as much as possible. So I'm on this bachelorette trip in the Bahamas, and the second day I'm there, I know that's the date of the hearing with.
Whoa, sorry, it just dawned on me. This, like, she was still with him up until this year, and she came out with this series just what, in October, like, November. That's wild. That's actually concerning to me, because has she gone to therapy for this? Like, I pray that she's in therapy and getting support for this, because this is an extremely traumatic thing that you just went through still this year. I'm amazed that she's sharing this so publicly and openly so soon. Like, my narcissistic abuse relationship, yeah, like, I had to talk to my therapist about it. I think it was well over a year before I was even comfortable sharing any inkling of that publicly. That's, wow. Like, I commend her, because I know how emotionally taxing these kinds of abusive relationships can be, and for her to be able to come out so shortly after everything happened, that's, wow.
The Danish IRS about the business account. And I'm very, very nervous. Like, obviously I had money in my bank account, but this business account was supposed to be what was going to go towards crypto and paying for the wedding. And so I just wanted everything to happen the way it was supposed to happen. So I wake up that morning, he tells me, call me when you can. I pick up the phone, I call him, I step outside, and he actually has good news. And the good news is that the business account doesn't have 200,000, it actually has 300,000, and he hadn't been able to log into it for 18 months. And so he was very surprised that the account actually had more money than he thought. So I was so over the moon excited. I told him, I said, thank you so much for, making smart choices and, helping us build this foundation for us to start our lives together in Dallas. And he had told me he was on the phone with the bank for like 45 minutes, ironing out the plans. They closed down the business account and they were going to just transfer him the amount of money that was owed to him. And so obviously I don't take his word for shit at this point. So
Good.
I asked him, I'm like, can you send me a screenshot of the phone call? Like, I want to see the phone record. And so he sends me a screenshot and it shows that he was on the phone for 45 minutes. I type in the number in the screenshot that he sent me, and I put it into ChatGPT, and it said it was linked to his bank in Denmark. So I was like, okay, this is real. Why would you spend 45 minutes on the phone with the bank if this wasn't real? So at this point, I'm like, okay, finally there's truth to something he's saying. And I felt so much relief. So after the Bahamas, my ex sends a text to my parents, and I'm in the group chat too. And he's saying, hey, I'll be able to send you the money by the end of this month. Can you please send me your banking information? And my mom says, of course, here it is, gives her bank information. Now we're at the end of July, and I asked him, hey, has the money hit? Has the money hit? Still hadn't hit. So what he said was, what I'll do is I'll send your parents the money on August 1st after I get paid from my job. But regardless, like, that money is gonna hit at some point in August. And I said, okay, that's perfect. So beginning of August comes around and he tells me, hey, I just sent the money to your mom. And I said, okay, perfect. Can you please show me the screenshot? And he said, yes. And he showed me the screenshot, and it said that the payment was scheduled for August 9th. So August 7th and 8th comes around. I tell my mom, hey, you're going to receive the money by August 9th. And she said, okay, sounds good. So August 9th comes around and I ask her, hey, have you received it? And she said, no, I still have not received it. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. A couple of days go by and I'm like, have you received it yet? She said, I still have not received it. So now it's like August 12th and I'm on FaceTime with my mom just chit-chatting. And then I ask her, I go, hey, have you received the transfer from my ex? And she goes, no, I still haven't received it. And I'm on the couch with my ex and I look at him, I go, that's so weird. My mom still hasn't received the transfer. And he goes, that is weird. I go, can you pull up the screenshot again? He shows me the screenshot again. And it says that the payment is now scheduled for August 14th. And I'm a little confused because why is it scheduled for August 14th now? It was August 9th before, and that doesn't make sense. So I asked him, I'm like, that's weird. He goes, that is weird. I don't know what's going on. And so regardless, at this point, it was like August 12th. So I was like, okay, we'll just wait and make sure she gets it by August 14th. So August 14th comes around. I call my mom, hey, did you receive the transfer? She still hasn't received the transfer. And I'm just like, what is going on? This is so weird and bizarre. But I'm not super concerned at this point. I just think that there's something weird going on. So August 15th comes around and he tells me that he doesn't know what's going on, but what he's going to do is cancel the transaction and then send the 10K to me. And then I will then send the 10K to my mom. And I said, okay, perfect. That sounds good. So that Saturday, I went wedding dress shopping, and my very best friend Rebecca was in town visiting, and she was with her 3.5-year-old daughter, who's the sweetest. I've known her since she was little newborn baby. She's so sweet. And this is the first time that my best friend Rebecca is coming to visit me in Dallas with her daughter. And so I was just so excited for them to be here and go wedding dress shopping with them. So we go wedding dress shopping on a Saturday, and my ex had told me that his mom wanted to pay for the wedding dress, and I was like, are you sure? He said, absolutely. Her birthday was actually the day before I went to go wedding dress shopping. And so he's like, I don't want to call her like on her birthday to ask her for money for your wedding dress, even though she's the one that brought this up and said she wants to pay for it. And I said, it's okay. I'll just pay for the dress. And then whenever your mom sends you the money, you can just send it to me. And then, obviously I want to call her and tell her thank you. Cause I was surprised. I did not expect her to even offer to pay for it. So I was flattered. I thought it was so sweet. So I go pick out the wedding dress, and I'm just so happy. I find the dress that I love. I put in the deposit for the dress. So Sunday comes around, and my ex says that the $10,000 for my mom is going to hit his account on that Monday. And I said, okay, sounds good. I am starting to feel some red flags, but I'm just like, let's wait till Monday and let's see how this plays out. So we go to church that morning on Sunday morning, and we get back. And this is so interesting that I always have to mention this. After church, my ex comes to me and he tells me, I really want to learn more about the Word of God. And I'm a Christian, and I've always been a Christian. And he always told me, listen, like, despite my beliefs, I always will support you and your faith. And our kids will be brought up as Christians. We'll go to church. I'll always go to church with you. But this was the first time that he told me that he wanted to learn more about the Word of God. And I remember just being so excited. I was like, that's perfect. We're going to start doing Bible study like once a week together. And I was really, really excited for it. That day goes by, and the next morning it's Monday.
I'm just so shocked. From the Christian perspective, this is why I said previously, this man was not sent to you from God. I do not know exactly what her religious ties are, what her journey looks like, but if she had said this way earlier, I would have been like, girl, you need to go talk to your pastor, because this man is, the reason why I'm cringing that now he's bringing up God. Yes, in some people's addiction journey, especially like AA, I know that they have a spiritual component to it, whether that's God or just believing in a higher power. They really do advocate for that because it can help you get through your addiction. But sometimes narcissists will like to weaponize religion as a manipulation tactic, because even the devil knows God's word, and the devil will try to use God's word against you any chance that he gets. That's why it's important for you to know God's word for yourself, instead of assuming that going to church and listening to your pastor once a week is enough. We will actually be doing Bible study live tomorrow at 9 a.m. PST, which will be 12 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to join me. We'll partially do like devotional and scripture reading, and then we will do like an hour of independent Bible study so that you can have your own personal encounter with the Lord. And we'll just be serving as a co-working space for accountability after the devotional and scripture reading. But this is why it is so important for you to read the word yourself, because even the devil knows God's word, and the devil will utilize God's word against you and twist it if you are not careful. So the fact, like, I cringed when he mentioned wanting to get into God's word, because right now we know that he has not been as faithful to his sobriety journey with his gambling addiction as he should be, as we would want him to be. So why is he now all of a sudden interested in getting closer to God if previously he's never expressed that interest before? It's giving potential religious manipulation. My heart.
Keep in mind, my best friend and her daughter are still visiting me. So the next morning, my best friend, Rebecca, she is at home because she has some work calls. And so we take her daughter to the park with Smokey, and we're just walking around, and I asked him, like, has the 10,000 for my mom hit your account? And he said, no, it hasn't. And I told him, I go, listen, I'm feeling very triggered. I feel like you're lying to me. It should have hit your personal account by this point, and it hasn't, and I'm feeling extremely, extremely triggered. And he said, well, I don't know what's going on. I promise, like, the money's there. It's going to be fine. And I was like, well, I don't know. I just feel like you're lying to me. So if there's anything that you want to come clean about, now's the time. Just do it. And he said, what's the point of talking to you if you're just going to think I'm lying? I go, well, why do you think I always think you're lying? Because you lie all the time. And he says, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't walk together. I go, okay, maybe we shouldn't. So he walks back to the car, and I walk my friend's daughter with my dog, and I just, like, walk away, and we walk for a while, and then we go back to the car, and he's in the car talking to his mom. And as soon as I get in the car, he gets off the phone with his mom. And I was fully planning on telling her thank you for the wedding dress, and I thought it was weird that he hung up really quickly, and so that's another red flag. So we get home, and obviously we're fighting. I feel like he's lying to me. He's upset that I'm not believing him, and he ends up leaving the house because he's like, I'm gonna go to Costco. So while he's in Costco,
So
obviously
random.
I'm just spiraling, and this is the moment where it hits me. I'm like, what if everything's a lie? And I don't know why, like, my subconscious has been thinking this all along, but this is the first time I fully am asking myself this question. Yeah. And so I'm laying in my bed, and I start playing with the app Revolut, and I start looking at it. And that's the app that he sent the money to my mom. And obviously he sent me screenshots. I sent the screenshot to my mom to verify it's going to be hitting on August 14th.
Hey, Nilla,
and so I started playing around with the app, and I just, I wanted to see what it would be like if I wanted to send a big payment. And the way Revolut works is you have to load the money into Revolut before you can send it to anyone. So I'm just playing around with it, and I do a test transaction, and I'm trying to send $10,000 even though I don't have 10K in Revolut to send. So I click schedule payment, and I put just whatever date, and I see the next page, which is the review page. And that's when I realized that that was the same screen that he showed me and that I sent to my mom, saying that he sent the payment. And what he did was he cropped out the schedule payment button so it looked like he had sent the money, but he really did not. So at this point, my entire body is shaking, and he gets back from Costco, and I can't say anything because my best friend and her daughter are staying with us. So I'm trying to keep it chill.
Nillo, same. For those of you who are on YouTube, Nillo saying that she hopes this lady heals. Same, Nillo. It literally just dawned on me a few minutes back that this all came to a head this year, and I can't believe that she's sharing it publicly, because I'm like, are you in therapy? Because this is so much to be going through. But let me know your thoughts on just like the insanity that went on, because I feel like this relationship and everything that she went through could have been preventable. And
keep in mind, this friend does not know anything that's going on. So after we unload the groceries, he's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and change and get ready for the gym. So I follow him upstairs, and I ask him, I said, I'm gonna ask you one question. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, of course I did. I go, I'm gonna ask you again. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, yes. And I pull up this screenshot that he sent me, and then I go back to Revolut, and I show him the exact same screenshot where he cropped the schedule payment button on the review page. And he said, our screens are different because I'm using a version from Denmark and you're using a version from the US. I go, you're using your US phone.
That's
so at this
insane.
point, his lives are just getting bad. I'm like,
the gaslighting is
about
insane.
everything. I go, let's let's have a chat and let's let all of this come to light and be done with it. And he said, I don't have time for this. I don't want to listen to this. And then he storms out of the house. And I will continue on in part 21.
Wow.
The Danish Deception in part 21.
Okay. That is absolutely insane. The fact that he, like, even with proof, he ended up just trying to gaslight her actively. Yeah, we are at part 21. I know we're going to finish this today, and I feel like at this point we have to finish the series today because I want to know the ending. And I also want to hear that she's gone to therapy or something, because this woman, I know that this is like a lot to heal from because she was in a narcissistic abuse relationship, but like there's just so much here. Holy.
So a lot of the things that transpired over the next couple of days happened over text. So I have my old phone. I'll be reading a lot of the messages because it's hard to really convey everything just based on memory. So I send him a screenshot of the test transaction that I did, and then the screenshot that he sent me for my mom. And I literally put them right next to each other. And I said, here's a side-by-side comparison for your reference. You've been caught red-handed, but if you want to keep lying, by all means, do your thing. And you can clearly see that you dragged it down to remove the schedule payment button. And then I had the test transaction with the schedule payment button circled. He says, I am telling you, Onyeka, I made the transfer to the account she gave me. I would have come clean right now if I had it. At this point, I think we should call off the weddings. We are not working as a team, and I don't want to keep fighting over this. Your mom will get her $10K as soon as I get it back. No, let me rephrase that. We are calling it off. I'm doing my best for everyone. Now it's time to focus on my own mental health. I will stay at a hotel for a few nights. This is all too much for me. Once I get the money, we can discuss if there's a future, but the weddings are off. So
backed into a corner. This man's like, I need to focus on my own mental health. What about all of the mental health struggles that you had been taking her through? Fully self-serving. Oh my gosh, my heart breaks for her.
At that point, I'm just, what is happening? This is just, I'm so confused. Obviously, I had just bought my wedding dress and I was planning this wedding, but the weddings weren't even like on my mind. I just knew that he was struggling with something really, really big, and I wanted to know what it was. And the weddings, at this point I was like, let's cancel the weddings. I don't even care. I was more focused about his well-being and making sure he was going to be okay. So I do another test transaction, but this time I actually loaded money into Revolut and then I sent it to myself. And so I said, FYI, this is what it looks like when you actually make a transfer in Revolut. And I did like a couple $100s, just a small amount. And I said, the lies need to stop. Aren't you tired and exhausted? Do you think I want that for you? He goes, don't worry about me. I'll go to Denmark either tonight or tomorrow. I have enough miles to book it. Then we'll figure out the business account and you'll be made whole. After that, we can figure out the next steps. So to answer your question, yes, I'm tired, but I'm more than tired. I am done. So I sent him this message. You think you leaving is what I want? We don't need space. We need a relationship that's open and honest. You say you want to focus on your mental health. Keeping up with your lies and taking on the stress is destroying.
Can we just go back into the fact that didn't he literally just want to start going back to church and becoming more of a Christian and everything like that? And now we're just like, damn, no, I'm done. I want out. I want the divorce. Okay, sir.
Your mental health. You say you want to work as a team. How can we if you can't be honest with me? I'm here for the good, the bad, the ugly, but we can't work through any of this until you can give me the honest truth. So he gets back from the gym and he walks in the house. He walks past me. He walks past my best friend, goes up to the room. I follow him into the room and I go, hey, can we talk about this? He said, what is there to talk about? I told you I'm done. And I go, what does that mean? He says, I want a divorce. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I'm just stunned because never once has he mentioned leaving me or divorce or anything. So I'm shook at this point. And then he proceeds to tell me, he said, you prioritize your friends and family above me in our relationship. I've never felt like this is my home. I'm a guest in this home. My stuff is in the guest closet. And I'm like, your stuff wouldn't fit in the master closet. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just sitting here just so confused. And he said, you only love me when there's money in my account, which is crazy because there was tons of times there wasn't money in his account.
There's nothing. There's
and I'm just still trying to talk to him. So I'm like, I love you. You're the love of my life. He goes, you were the love of my life. And I feel so hurt.
Narcissistic rage. Like he's like full on self-defense. Like, I've got to protect myself. So everything has to be her fault, he has to make, sorry Onyeka, I left you like on a really weird pause screen, but he has to find a way to justify the current situation. And the only way to justify the current situation is to make it her fault, because he could not take accountability for the current situation and for the current mess that has happened. And the reason why he's doing the breakup is because that's his way to have some semblance of control, because he's feeling a complete loss of control of every facet of this relationship. So the only thing that he still has control of is ending it on his own terms, and he doesn't want to give her that control, because this is really all he has left, because she's kept backing him into a corner. Once again, do not back a narcissist into a corner behind closed doors. But the gaslight, I have been in this exact situation where my ex was literally sitting there just trying to turn everything around on me, and I'm looking at him like, oh, we living in two different realities. And the first time this happened, like when we were initially together, and then I was able to break away, and then I ended up falling back because cycle of abuse. The first time we were together, I was like, oh, okay, like, am I crazy? Like, am I going insane? And then once I got my therapist and I was like going through this relationship again, I'm just like, no, sir, that's not actually how this happened. Like, you can't be telling me that I'm only with you for your money when you had 34 cents in your bank account and I was still with you. I lent you thousands of dollars knowing that you were broke and I was still with you. So
but I'm also like, this can't be him talking. This has to be the disease. This has to be the addiction.
No, this is the narcissism. That's the personality disorder at play. It could be the addiction. I'm not too... Like, obviously, drug addiction can very much impact someone's personality and everything like that, because drugs can change your brain chemistry. I'm not sure to the extent of which gambling addiction can change your personality. Obviously, with addictions, there's always lies and stuff like that. And I guess, yeah, there can be some gaslighting. But this one sounds like a full-on, like the way that he's flipped the gaslighting to such an extreme extent. This is no longer like an addict trying to cover their tracks. This feels like a full-on, like, narcissistic, like, defense. Like, you've backed him so far into a corner that he's trying to rationalize everything in his brain by blaming you.
Talking. And so I'm still trying to communicate to him, and he's like, you know what? Don't worry. I'm going to fly back to Denmark. I'm going to get the money from the business account, make sure you're whole. And I also have received an offer to be a CEO of a company in Denmark making $1 million. And so now I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's for sure spiraling. Like, this is 100% the addiction. And it's insane, because at this point I should have just been like, okay, go buy it. And
she wasn't.
him, but I'm very much still fighting for the relationship, because I don't think that there's anything crazy big that we can't navigate and come through together. So we're not making any progress in the conversation. So I leave. I go to my friend Rebecca. I said, let's go for a drive. So we take her daughter. We go to the lake. And I tell her everything, and I just break down, and she's in shock, because she had no idea that I was dealing with this along with most people. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want him to leave me. And at this point, it's crazy, because I had definitely thought to myself, like, what life would be like without him, and almost was like mentally preparing myself for it. But I always thought it was gonna be on my terms. But the fact that he was leaving me just like put me in like this like fight or flight, and I just wanted to fight for him. So while we're at the lake, he sends me a message. He says, are you all gone? If yes, do I have enough time to pack my suitcase? And I go, we drove to the lake. And I said, I love you. We're going to figure this out. Let's take some space, but flying to Denmark is not the answer. And he says, I have made up my mind and I'm not changing my decision. We are both exhausted. Our individual peace has been at stake for too long, and we need to protect that. We tried. God knows we fought for it, but the battle is over. Let's find peace each on our own. Let me know when you're heading back.
He's found a new supply. And by new supply, I mean he's found someone else to go through this, like, scam with. Because the way that he's so final about it, there's another woman. There has to be another woman, or there has to be a new narcissistic supply, because this, like, cutoff is not only really, really sudden, but just, like, the way that he's going about it. Because right now, she's supporting him. So he's found a new supply. Never mind, like, the whole, oh, I got a new job, but, like, he's found a new narcissistic supply, and I'm assuming it's another woman.
I packed the first suitcase. I might do the other tomorrow. It's a bit difficult for me as well. So after being at the lake, I go upstairs trying to talk to him, and he's just not even wanting to be within, like, 5 feet of me. And I'm like, let's talk about this. Like, please, like, tell me what's going on. Like, you wouldn't be spiraling like this if there wasn't something that's going on. Like, I'm your wife. Like, we can get through this. And he said, no, I'm done with you. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I booked a flight, and I will never see you again. And I will only talk to you when it's about getting you your money. And at this point, I'm just like, what? Like, it's now been an hour and he still has not backed down from this idea that he's leaving me. So out of pure desperation, and I have never experienced this level of desperation before, I go into his work bag and I take his passport and I look at my friend Rebecca and I said, he's not leaving. I'm gonna get to the bottom of what's really going on.
Oh, honey.
And she looks at me, she goes, do you, girl? Like, I support you. So we go onto the patio just to get some fresh air. And I look at the doorbell camera and I see that he's left. And he had 2 big check luggages packed and then his carry-on. And I see that he only left with his carry-on and his work bag. And so I sent him a text. I go, take your space tonight and remember that I love you and I'm grateful that you're my husband and I will never stop fighting for you. Good night, my love. And at this point, I'm angry, but I'm being nice because I've done so much research on addiction. And I know whenever an addict is spiraling, the worst thing you can do is fight them back. So I'm just trying to be calm and be peaceful so that he can find a space to be able to come and be honest with me. And he said, wrap your head around the fact that I am not your husband anymore. We are done. Today has shown me that I won't have anything to do with you other than settling my debt. After that, I can breathe again. So obviously I had a horrible night. I cried myself to sleep. The next morning I wake up and my best friend says, hey, I'm gonna go to my other friend's house. She had another best friend that lived in Dallas, so she was visiting the both of us. And I was more than okay with that because I didn't think this was a good environment for a child anyways. And I knew he was gonna come back to the house and I thought that was for the best. And so I drive her to her friend's house and my ex had messaged me like, I'm gonna need the house until 1 to grab my things before I go to the airport. And I remember being like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna drop her off at her friend's house. And he doesn't know that I'm like trying to intercept him so I can have a conversation with him. He also does not know that I have his passport. So I drop Rebecca off at her friend's house and I come back and my ETA is like 12:30. And I know he said he was gonna leave around 1. So I was like, okay, I'll have some time to intercept him. I get home and everything is gone. His bags that were packed are gone. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced being left by a spouse without knowing, or even a partner in general, but it is the most devastating feeling in the world. And especially someone that you shared your life with, they're there one day and the next day they're gone. Yeah. It is just gut-wrenching. And I honestly at that point just start screaming. And I sent him a text and I said, I have your passport. He said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I go, please come home, babe. You fight for the people you love, and I love you, and we will get through this. And he said, this stunt literally cost me thousands of dollars. My decision is made. Remember who is fighting who. And I said, we just need to talk through this. I know you're hurt, and I'm sorry for my part in this, but you're my husband, and we will fight through this. We're building a life here with friends and family. He said, I am over it, but don't.
Apologizing is crazy, but I understand that she's in a space of fight or flight because she didn't do anything wrong in this situation. He's just gaslighting the F out of her. But this is honestly the best situation that could have happened because, like, just think about how cold this man is being right now. Hey, Razar. Think about how cold this man is being right now. If he ended up wanting to use that coldness to harm her, he very easily could have. Like, I don't think that she realizes how lucky she is to be alive and how lucky she is that this man chose to leave and go to his new narcissistic supply. Like, I know it sucks. She's still hurt by it. She's still grieving the loss of this relationship, but this is the best thing that could have happened to her because this man could have hurt her so much worse than purely financially and emotionally.
Don't worry, all your troubles will go away. Now it'll just take a day longer and cost me more money. Ridiculous. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I say, I don't believe that. You wouldn't have married me if you wanted to give up that easily. He said, well, okay, but I'm getting a temporary passport, so I'll be leaving, and you made sure to take my green card too, so even if I wanted to come back, that's not possible. Take care. And you think I'm giving up easy? You're delusional. I said, I can mail it to you. And at that point, I'm freaking out because I did take his green card. So I get in the car and I said, I can bring you your passport and I can bring you your green card. I'll go to the airport. He goes, don't worry, I'm on the phone with the consulate. They'll figure it out. I don't need you. And I said, I'm on the way with the passport right now. I'll be there in 20. He said, I'm not going to see you. Trust me. I said, okay, I'll turn around. But I also can leave the passport at the front desk so you don't have to see me. He goes, don't worry, getting issued an emergency passport. Don't you fucking leave my passport anywhere. This is the most insane situation I've ever heard of. And guys, this is my favorite text in the entire thread. Call on your friends and family. You prioritize them, now they can show up for you. And just to be very clear, I do not give a fuck if you tell everybody everything. So here I am telling everybody everything. So after that message, he says there's no coming back from this. And I text him back and I said, okay, I will accept that now. And I had reached full acceptance because the fact that he had told me that he doesn't care if I tell everybody everything means that he must really be done with this marriage. And so I reached acceptance and I'm in my car. And I remember I sent a text to my sisters and I said, my ex just left me. And I also called my best friend Onyeka and I told her, I said, he just left me. And I stay on the phone with her until I get home. And I get home and I just plant on the couch and I'm just hysterically crying and just completely wrecked, completely heartbroken. Like the man that I love has just left me and I'm never gonna see him again. And so obviously it took some time for my sisters to read my text and they both came over and I realized like now's the time to come clean and tell everybody what's really been going on in our lives. And so my sisters are sitting down next to me and my best friend Onyeka is also on the couch and I look at them and I tell them everything about the gambling, about the lies, about the money. And my little sister looks up at me and she says, well, he actually took $3,000 from me. And we will continue on in part 22.
What? Oh, okay. This actually can shock me more. He took $300 or $3,000 from the little sister? Oh my god. This is what there has to be a communication problem within this family because what is happening? Your sister's husband comes to you for money and you don't talk to your sister about it? I do not care what that man says. I do not care what the reason. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, let me shut up so we can actually figure out how this transpired and how he got money from the family. And Razor, my day is going good. Thank you. And I love that your husky's name is Charlie.
Part 22. So my little sister looks at me and she says, he took $3,000 from me. And I am just silent for like 5 seconds. Wow. And I want you all to picture a horror movie in your mind and picture the screams in that horror movie. I can guarantee you the screams that were heard from me were 10 times worse. It was the most heartbreaking moment of my entire life. My little sister is like, she's my world, and to know that he took advantage of her was just, it was so heartbreaking. And in that moment, I 100% fell out of love with him, and it was like the spell that was on me had been broken. I went from survival mode to clarity in a matter of seconds. Yeah. He asked my little sister for money 2 times. The first time was back in May. It was for a birthday present for me, which is crazy because he did not get me a birthday present that year because I asked him not to because I wanted us to save money. He paid her back, and he actually paid her back with interest, but it took him like a month and a half to send it back to her. And then he asked her for money again in the beginning of August, saying that he was planning a surprise for me for our wedding in Nigeria. And again, he's having issues with the transfer between his Danish account and his personal account. And she sent him the money, and that amount was not paid back to her.
One thing that I say whenever I get requests from people that I'm not like that close with or I don't know that well, it's like, why are you asking this of me when you have your friends, you have your parents, you have your business associates, because this guy owns a business. Why are you coming to me, someone who is a stranger, someone that you just met? That is how my brain works, because it is always very odd when someone that you are not that close with decides to come to you for money, because he could have gone to the parents, he could have gone to the other sister. Why is he hitting up the younger sister? Probably because the younger sister is more easily manipulated, right? He's a predator. That point blank period. He's looking for people who are easily emotionally manipulated. And she mentioned how her parents are super selfless. She's super selfless. Once again, selflessness without discernment is you being foolish. And I'm assuming that selflessness trait probably runs through all of the girls in this family. So he was very easily able to go to the sister and ask her for money. And I agree with you, Prince. I hope that it ends well for her too, because this is just such a sad situation. And once again, this just happened this year. I can't believe that she's sharing this publicly, but he did say you can tell everyone everything. So here she is telling everyone everything. And I've seen online that apparently more of his victims have come out. So it's going to be really interesting to catch up on that. I might just do a YouTube reaction video on that, or we could do another live stream. I could compile some of the other victims that have come out against this man. But yeah, this is absolutely insane. She is such a gorgeous woman, and I really do feel bad for her that she had to go through this. And at the same time, at the very beginning, there were these red flags that she just decided to ignore. And I really hate this for her, that her family ended up getting taken advantage of too.
So I sent him a text and I said, you took $3K from my little sister. I hate you. No wonder why you left. You're a fucking coward. I don't know how in deep you are, but please know I will make it back from this. Fuck you.
Yeah, she is really
you were
brave
right.
to telling
There's
her
no
story.
coming back
I
from
fully
this.
agree with you.
You're a pathetic waste of space. And he responds, you're right, but don't worry, you'll get what's yours. You can start the filing process so we can be done with this. I said, glad we're finally on the same page. He said, me too. I'll need my passport back Thursday. Can we find a way to make that work? I said, absolutely, whenever you pay us back. And I said, you're the most disgusting human I've ever met. He said, that's a mature comment, but that deal works. What's the exact amount I owe you? And I said, love how you use the word mature as you flee this state, LMAO. I mean country. I mean continent. He goes, I'm not fleeing, Onyeka. I'm going to make sure you get what's yours. That's all I've been trying to do. You can believe
Thanks,
that
Prince. I appreciate
if you
it.
want to or not. Well, I'm just
Wow.
scream crying at this point, just being like, no, 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 no. And it takes me some time to like gather myself, and then I realize I'm like, oh my,
I missed something. What was she screaming crying about?
If you want to, country. I mean continent. He goes, I'm not fleeing, Onyeka. I'm going to make sure you get what's yours. That's all I've been trying to do. You can believe that if you want to or not. Well, I'm just screaming crying at this point, just being like, no, 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 no. And it takes me some time to like gather myself, and then I realize I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not the only one. So the first person I call is one of my close friends, Chris, and him and his wife Thea, they're pregnant with their first kid and they're buying their first house. Obviously money's tight. And I called him and I said, did you give money to my ex? And he goes, yeah, I did. And then I just start scream crying on the phone, and then I tell him everything that's happening. And it was so heartbreaking because like I had to tell people these things, and then I would be so emotional, so wrecked, and then I would gather myself, and then I would realize that there's another person I have to call. Yeah. So after I called Chris, I called my friend Rob and asked him, did you loan money to my ex? And he said, yes, I did. And again, I'm scream crying. He borrowed money from Rob 2 times. The first time he said that he was buying an Aston Martin DB9, and he was trying to shuffle funds between his Danish account and his American account. It was taking a while. That amount of money was paid back, and then he came back and asked money from Chris and Rob and said that he was trying to surprise me with this super rare Rolex. And he was trying to surprise me with it for the wedding, and the store just got it, and he didn't think they were going to get it again before the wedding. And
she does deserve
that's
more.
how he got money from them the second time around. Then I messaged him, Chris and Rob too, what the fuck?
I'm just confused as to why the guys would lend him money for an Aston Martin. once again, if I don't know you that well and then you are asking me for money when you have friends, family, like other people that you could be asking money for, especially you're asking me for money for a car and then a Rolex. If you don't have the funds, don't buy those things. If you're not currently in the situation to purchase those things, like, dude, delay. It's okay to delay a gift. Get her something else that you can currently afford and then get the Rolex later. Wow. It would be interesting to hear the friends come out because I'm just wondering how they fell into his manipulation as well. Maybe because he used the wife or Onyeka as like, oh, I want to get her a gift. But the first one, like the guy just wanted to buy an Aston Martin for himself. Like, why would you lend a guy that you barely know money for an Aston Martin? That makes no sense. And I agree with you, Prince. This guy is a freaking creep.
And he said, you don't have to remind me. I am aware. That's why I need to go back and fix it. And then I text him in all caps, who else? And then he doesn't respond. Then I called one of my friends that I've known since high school, asked him, did you give my ex money? He said yes. He had loaned him money as well.
Oh my gosh.
And then I made a call to my cousin and I asked him, I said, did you loan my ex money? And he said yes. And we are the godparents to his son. And that one was like so heartbreaking because this man trusted us to be godparents to his child, and you did this to him. And he's like a second brother to me, and it broke me completely to know that he could hurt people I loved like this. And I was in total shock at this point. I was so hurt. I was so angry, and I did not know what to do. At that point, I'm like, I need to contact his family right now. So I call his little sister, and it's like 11 p.m. in Denmark, but I did not care. I called her, she answered, and I tell her everything, and I'm hysterically crying, and she's just in shock. And her fiance goes to his mom's house, picks his mom up, brings her to their home, and then they call me again, and now the three of them are there, and I tell them everything again. And we're all just crying, like all of us, and I don't even know what to say. And they were like, we knew he had a problem 10 years ago and he went into treatment and he got better, and like we never knew that he was still doing this. And I was so angry because I felt like I deserved to know this when I met them. Like, I feel like they should have told me this right away.
No, girl, no. I know that she's a victim in this, but you are not going to be this. You are not going to put this on to the family. You chose to marry a man without meeting his friends or his family first. You chose to marry a man without meeting his friends or his family first. By the time that they would have had the opportunity to tell you, you guys were already married. I know I heard that she's made videos where she's taking accountability for her actions, but you are not going to put this on the family when you chose to marry this man without meeting the friends and the family first. You didn't get she met some of the friends, but she didn't fully have conversations with them. She didn't get to actually know them. This is why I say, if you're going to agree to be someone's boyfriend or girlfriend, let alone their wife, you should meet the friends and family multiple times and verify everything that the person that you're with is saying through the friends and the family. You cannot put this on them. Because, like the best friend said, the guy had lied to him saying that, oh, he told me that he told you about the gambling addiction. So the family is probably assuming that since you two are getting married or are already married, that he would have told you about the gambling addiction before the two of you decided to get married. You can't put this on the friends and the family. And keep in mind, I'm someone where I ended up, my engagement timeline, everything like that was extremely quick. But this is also not my first relationship. This, for her, she said that this is the first time she's been in a long-term relationship, the first time that she's been in love. She was very vulnerable. And instead of being open and honest with her friends and family about this relationship and being safe about it and getting their guidance, she ended up keeping everything that was happening within the relationship to herself. And unfortunately, the consequences of that was that this man had the opportunity to go and scam her friends and her family because she wasn't open and honest up with her friends and family about the fact that he's an addict. The moment that she found out that he was a gambling addict, she should have shared it with her friends and her and the family so that they would have been aware, so that they could save themselves from not lending someone money. I genuinely wonder what her interaction with the Gamblers Anonymous people was, because I am sure that they would have been like, hey, by the way, as an addict, if they are looking for their fix and they don't have the money to go gambling, they're going to go and find other places to get money. That could have put her on high alert. I feel like there is a big portion that we're missing in terms of her involvement in the sobriety journey for him, for lack of better terms. I know that she mentioned that she was researching online and everything like that, but I'm just so confused as to why, she learned about the gambling addiction and she did her research, why at no point did she not alert her friends and her family? But she can't put this back on his family. You guys chose to move forward with the relationship before you even met the family officially. Prince, yeah, she did really love him, and I definitely know that she really loved him. Like, you can tell it on her face. Like, you could tell it from the first few videos where she's talking about him. Like, you can tell how much love there was for him, or there is still for him. Because as someone who's gotten through an abusive relationship, it's hard to let go of that kind of love immediately, and this is still really fresh for her. But this pisses me off that she's putting this back on the family, because the family, that is not their responsibility. It was your responsibility to meet the family, to continue to vet this man, and to verify everything that he was telling you with the family before you chose to be with him and marry him and then get him a green card. That statement pissed me the F off.
And that's when I started feeling a lot of resentment. I know, like, it's not fair to put the blame on them because I know they're not responsible for his actions, but I absolutely felt so much resentment towards them at that moment. So then I tell them, I'm like, he's lied.
I'm just gonna say her resentment, I think she's just looking, like, in the heat of the moment, she's looking for someone to blame, because this can't be put on the family. This would be like, horrible example, but remember at the beginning, she decided to fly to meet this man without putting air tags in her luggage, because even though her sister asked her to put air tags in her luggage so that she could be tracked. This would be like if she had met this man and he had assaulted her or sexually trafficked her, and then she, by the grace of God, got saved. She would tell her sister, like, oh, I resent you because you didn't, like, force me to put the air tags in my bag. You are a grown adult. You chose to be with this man without meeting his family. And you could say, well, he made a lot of excuses. I do not care. I am not going to say that I'm going to marry you. I do not care. I'm not going to say that I'm going to even be your boyfriend or I'm not going to be your girlfriend until you introduce me to your parents. I need to meet your family, and I'm going to verify all of these stories, like the fact that you said you're an Olympian, with your family before I agree to marry you. Bruh.
About so much.
Sorry for the rant.
About going to the Olympics.
Thanks, Prince. I appreciate it.
And
Thank
then
you for the support.
The royal title. So I asked them, I go,
oh my
do you guys have a royal title?
I forgot about the royal title.
And the look on their face, they were horrified. Absolutely horrified. The lie that he had told my cousin was that he was buying a Ferrari. And again, he was having issues getting money from his Danish account to his American account.
I'm sorry, the royal title is like one of those things that we're like, yeah, obviously he lied about that. But also, the royal title is something that she could have verified with the family once she met the family, and she chose not to. At that point, she wasn't like, she was in the abuse cycle by then, but she had the opportunity to meet the family. She met the mom. She could have easily been like, oh, it's so great that you guys have, like, royal blood. And then the mom would have given her a strange look and would have been caught in the lie. Man, this is not on the family. Like, I know that she mentioned that she feels resentment, and I pray that that resentment in her heart gets fixed, but this can't be put on the family, because she had the opportunity to verify all of this. Even after they'd gotten married and met the family, she had the opportunity to verify everything that he was telling her, and she didn't. Because if you guys are so together that you're telling the family that you're getting married, they're assuming that you know everything, that he's been forthcoming with you. It is our job when we are dating our partners to do that verification. We can't assume that people are going to offer up information about our partners, because most people are assuming, like, hey, if you've chosen to be with this person, I'm assuming that they've been very truthful with you. There has to be personal responsibility from her in terms of, like, how this relationship played out.
And he needed a short loan. a Ferrari. Then I texted him, you took money from my cousin
Aston
too.
Martin
I'm
and
so
a
sick to
Ferrari.
my stomach. I wish I never fucking met you. And he goes, Onyeka, I understand. I don't need these reminders. And then I said in all caps, tell me who else. I said, be honest for once in your fucking life so I can finish making these calls and I can heal. And he said, no one is asking you to do that. That's a choice you have made.
Yep.
So over the course of the evening, a lot of people came over, like my cousin, his wife, my sisters were there, a bunch of my friends, and I was just crying. I just really just needed to be around my people while all of this was coming to light and all of this was unfolding. And so it was really rough, but I went to bed that night. My little sister did spend the night with me. And the next morning, I decided I'm going to go on my Instagram and I'm going to unblock his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
and I'm
very
going to reach
very
out to her.
emotionless.
So I unblock her and I send her a message. I go, hi, I've finally seen his true colors. I don't know how to understand the depth of what I'm going through. And she responded almost instantaneously. It was like, Onyeka, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry. There were so many times I wanted to reach out to you, but I felt like he was filling your mind with lies and you weren't going to believe anything that I said.
Which is true.
And so I told her, I said, you know, don't blame yourself, but like, I'm having a really hard time understanding the depth of what I'm going through. Are you available to have a quick conversation? And she said, absolutely, we can have a conversation. So at that point, I'm obviously experiencing so much darkness. I'm waiting for the ex to call me and I just need to find some light in my life. So I call my cousin's wife.
Prince, that's a really, really great point. To this guy, women are very disposable, right? He just looks for people that he can manipulate and use. And it's not just women, right? Because, I mean, once he gets access to a woman, it seems like he infiltrates the rest, like their social network, their friends and their family, because he comes off as very charming and very charismatic to all of these people around him, right? So he definitely just uses people as objects. He has no regard for the fallout and all of the emotional trauma that he's instilling in these people. The moment that he finds his next supply, he just drops everyone and moves on, so long as he can get his gambling addiction fixed, right? And it is really, really sad to see someone act like this, but it's not uncommon, especially when someone is an addict and seems to be also potentially struggling with narcissism or on the have a personality disorder on top of that. This is not shocking by any means, at least not to me.
And I asked her, can I come over? Can I just spend some time with my godson? And she said, of course. So I go over to her house, I pick him up and I just hold him and I'm just like crying and I'm telling him he's 1 year old, so he doesn't understand what's going on, but I'm just saying I'm so sorry because like your godfather is an evil, evil monster and I'm just now finding this out. And I just felt so bad for him that like one day he's gonna learn that this man was his godfather at one point. So I'm at my cousin's house waiting for the ex to call me and I just need to just start reaching out to every single person that's ever encountered him. And that was really, really difficult because a lot of these people are also my friends. And so I'm devastating them because everyone loved him. Everyone truly loved him.
Everyone loved him because you were not forthcoming with what his true personality was like. Like, once again, the personal responsibility aspect of this. When you found out that he was lying to you, you could have started communicating that to your friends. When you found out that he was an addict, you could have started communicating that with your friends. When things stopped making sense, you could have started communicating that with your friends, so that this illusion of who he was that was built up could start, like the whole delusion could start being broken by everyone, so that people weren't so caught off guard when this guy did what he did. There has to be the personal responsibility and the accountability for her not sharing what this guy was really like when she started to find out what he was really like behind the scenes. And I know that for most of us, especially if we grow up in African cultures, we just want to keep everything within the relationship. We don't want to share our struggles and everything like that. But when you have someone who has the potential of hurting other people, you know that they've scammed other people and they were struggling with their addiction. This, like, she had the opportunity to share this with her friends and her family, and she chose not to. And I'm sure that is something that is going to really be with her for a long time, especially seeing that her youngest sister also ended up getting scammed. But there has to be that personal responsibility and that personal accountability in the fact that there was there was the option to share, and a decision was made that negatively impacted a lot of those who were close to her. And thank you, Prince. I do my best to speak. Sometimes I stumble, but see, like right now, I don't know what to say. So we're getting back to the video.
And trusted him. So I find another friend that he owed $10,000 to. One of my coworkers that I used to work with, she told me that her husband gave him $10,000 to. The lies were, it was a variety of different lies. One person, he said that he was investing in a plot of land. Another person, he said that he was buying a car. The same lie about how his Danish account, his personal account aren't, like, it's not, he's having issues transferring money in between. And let me make something very, very clear. Every single person that he took money from, he told them explicitly not to tell me. And
of course he did.
In text, and it's in the receipts.
Of course.
He said, do not tell her, it's a surprise. I'm getting this car as a surprise. I'm getting this watch for her as a surprise. I'm buying this land as a surprise. It was all a surprise to me, which makes me so, so sick.
Okay, see, I am the type of friend where if I was to allow you to do this and I lent you money for a gift for your partner or whatever, which I am not the one, but if I were, when that event came up or when it had passed, I'm messaging you like, how did you like your plot of land for your birthday? I'm a follow up. If I gave you money for a Ferrari or an Aston Martin or Rolex for your wife, and I see her out and she's not wearing her Rolex, I'd be like, girl, where's your Rolex? I thought your husband got you a Rolex for your birthday. What is going on within this friend circle? There's like the communication, and I get it when someone asks you to explicitly not say anything. Okay, that means I'm explicitly not saying anything until the surprise is given to your wife. And then I'm bringing it up to verify that you use the money for what you said you're going to use it for. Maybe I'm just like highly skeptical, but like, am I insane? Let me know your thoughts. If someone was asking you for like thousands of dollars for a gift or a surprise for their wife, wouldn't you confirm after the surprise date? Like, am I the only one who thinks that way?
So I'm on my phone again. I'm still waiting for the ex to call me, and I look down and I have a text from his older sister.
Right, Prince?
She said,
like,
Onyeka, can you please call me? I want to talk to you. And we will continue on in part 23.
Oh no.
Danish Deception, part 23. So at this point, I am feeling all the emotions. I'm feeling so much sadness. I'm feeling deep anger. I'm feeling so heartbroken. I'm feeling a little bit of relief because now I know. There's not a question in my mind on who this person is and what he's done. Like, I know exactly who he is. But the feeling that was taking over me completely, as you guys can imagine, is shame. I felt so ashamed. I felt like I didn't recognize the person that I had been for the past 3 years. And when you fall out of love with a psycho-narcissist, it's disorienting and empowering at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like walking out of a dark room and experiencing sunlight that you never knew ever existed. And that was when I told myself, I've been living in someone else's reality and I want my own back right now. So I pick up the phone, I call his sister, and it's on FaceTime. I'm bawling my eyes out and she's just apologizing. She's like, I'm so sorry. She said, I felt as though he was living above his means and this is always a sign, but when he's gambling and stealing from people, and I wanted to have a conversation with you, but I didn't know if you were going to believe me. And he had told the whole family that he had told you about his gambling addiction and about everything in his past.
And Prince, I thank you. I do agree with her that I do agree with you that I hope that not only the internet, but I think the internet is doing her justice because now his other victims are coming out. But I also do hope that God will also get justice for her as well, because she didn't deserve to go through this. She was just extremely susceptible to this kind of predator. But at the same time, I wanted to mention about her, like the sister saying that she was worried that she wouldn't believe her, and even like the ex saying that. And that is understandable, because whenever you are in an abusive relationship, you, especially how deep this woman felt. Once again, remember at the beginning, she said that she fell so deeply in love, like she felt like this man could destroy her, which as a Christian woman is insane. God is the only one that can destroy you. Please never put that much power in any person that you're with. But the fact that they felt like, hey, like if I go to her, she might not believe me, it's understandable, because when you are so caught up in the web of lies that a narcissist or an abuser can weave for you, it is so hard to see outside of the bubble that you're in. And oftentimes people will come and tell you things and you'll just block it out, or you'll rationalize it, because we saw her doing a lot of rationalizing until she couldn't avoid the fact that he's been blatantly lying to her face anymore. And that kind of moment was really, I think for her, when the best friend was like, hey, like, he didn't tell you about the gambling addiction. I feel like that was when, like, she just could not run away from the reality of what was going on anymore.
And I told her, I said that wasn't the case. And she said,
it was.
Yeah, his addiction got really, really bad about 10 years ago. He owed money to some really dangerous people. They actually threw a brick through his parents' window. And they chased his friend through the streets with a knife.
What?
And she's a police officer, so she wanted to protect him. So she actually went and met with these like dangerous loan sharks and figured out a payment plan for them. And then my ex got a job in China, and then he moved to Shanghai and didn't pay anyone back. And he owed money to his parents. He owed money to tons of people. I did not know any of this. I just knew he owed money to his best friend at the time, and obviously crypto. So I thought these were like small, not small, it's a large amount of money, but I thought these were isolated incidents. I didn't know that this was a pattern. And she was like, once he moved to China, he was there for like 6 months, and then I started receiving messages from people in China. So he was conning people in China as well. So we are now at 3 continents. We have North America, Europe, and Asia. And I'm just completely mind blown. I said, wow, how in the world did it get this bad? And she said, well, he got treatment about 10 years ago. And
the treatment didn't work.
Specialists and the therapists and the counselors at this facility, they told the family that he had the worst gambling addiction that they had seen in their careers. And his family said nothing to me. So that conversation.
His family is not obligated to you, regardless of whether the family said anything to you. You chose to be with him before meeting the family. This whole like blaming the family thing is pissing me off. Holy crap. Yeah, now understanding like the gambling addiction was that bad, I can understand where it's like, okay, maybe this is something that you guys should have mentioned sooner. But you chose to still be with this man before meeting the family.
100% deepened my anger and resentment towards the family. I've worked through a lot of that in therapy.
Okay, thank
but I still just cannot understand how this shit was not brought to me. But, you know, then she proceeds to tell me this is why I don't have a relationship with him, because, you know, I have kids now and I could see he has no desire to change, literally none. And I told her, he said that your family had all this money. She said, that's absolutely not true. We're very average, middle-class family. And I also asked her, I was like, has he ever owned any property in Denmark ever? And she said he has never owned a single piece of property in Denmark in his life. So I get off the phone with his sister, and then his ex is now available. So I call her and she answers, and I say hi, and she's very, very nice. And she just says,
Thanks, Prince, for welcoming me back. And actually, Prince, I've been away from YouTube for almost 2 years, so sorry, but we are back. And thank you so much for coming to join the live stream. I really appreciate it, especially when you're like one of the OG subscribers and everything like that.
I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I know how devastating it is. And she said, do you want to start or do you want me to start? And I said, I would love to hear about your experience and understand what you went through. And she started it off saying, okay, well, we were together for 7 years. And I was like, 7 years? He told me
lied.
4. So the first sentence that she said was already a lie that he told.
Yep.
And she said he stole money from me. He stole money from my parents. He stole money from my friends. And there was actually a colleague of my dad's that he took money from after meeting him one time. He met this man once and was able to get money from him. I was so shook at everything I was hearing. Obviously, it was her dog. That dog was hers. It was never his dog.
Yep.
She also told me that the godson of the plumber was never his godson. So that was also a lie. Obviously, he never invested in that plumbing business. That was all stupid, all lies. And I asked her, I was like, 7 years is a long time. Like, what pushed you to finally leave? She's like, I just realized he wasn't going to change. And, for a while I knew I should have left him, but I felt like I was just in deep sunk cost fallacy. I feel that too. Okay. And then I asked her, I was like, when did you guys break up? They broke up on December 23rd of 2022. So do y'all remember that story about his dad being sick in the hospital and him getting in a fight with his sister and the back surgery and all the bullshit? It was all a lie. He was living with her.
I knew it. I effing knew it. So right now, the reason why he ended up leaving her so abruptly, this man is already in a relationship with another woman. I knew it. He will not leave a relationship without having a new narcissistic supply. I freaking knew it.
Broke up. She left him 4 months after we started dating.
Yep.
At this point, guys, I was numb. I couldn't even say this man cheated on me.
Prince, this should be a Netflix movie or series because the way that this has turned out, this is better than a Netflix series. We've been streaming this for the past 3 days.
He cheated on her. I was the other woman. And I was so numb to the cheating. I didn't even it was just okay, let's add something else to the list. I don't even think I cried. I was just like, well,
what else?
What's next? Let's see. And
yeah.
It truly felt like for that 24 hours, I was living the same nightmare over and over and over and over again. So at that point, I'm like, it is time to fight. And for starters, I need a divorce. So I start looking up divorce attorneys on day 1. And I actually had 2 meetings with the divorce attorneys while all of this was unfolding. So I truly felt like I was fighting for my life. And at the same time, I'm still reaching out to different people that have met him to see if they've given him money. And so I leave my cousin's house. I go back to my house and I'm with my cousin's wife and my sister and one of my friends. And at that point, I'm like, it is time for me to call my parents. And I was so nervous because I'm like, my parents at this time didn't even know that I was married. So now I have to tell them all these things. On top of that, I have to tell them that I'm legally married. And so I get home, I call my dad and I'm telling him, hey, I need to talk to you. He's like, what's going on? I go, he's not coming back. And I proceed to tell him about the addiction, the money, everything. And then I ask my dad, I go, but please tell me he didn't take money from you. And my dad goes, don't worry about that right now. And then I was just on the floor screaming. This is my family. This is my family. I didn't even know how to pick myself up. And then I heard my dad. I was on FaceTime with my dad and he just goes, you need to be strong. And I
That is such a typical African parent thing. That was so I totally that's something that my family would say in a situation like this. That is so typical. That was actually really funny.
Immediately get up, sit on the couch, and he looked at me. He's like, you need to be strong.
Yeah.
He said, what he took is a drop in the bucket, and we're gonna get through this as a family. And that was just, you guys, I have the best parents in the world. So then my mom comes home from work and
I talked to her on the phone. My dad had already told her, and I pick up the phone and I'm FaceTiming her too. And I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry. And she goes, why are you sorry? You have no reason to be sorry. Yeah. She goes, everyone that knows you knows your heart. And I love you. You're my daughter. And we're going to make it out of this stronger than ever. I have the best family, the best friends, the best support system, and this whole tragedy of a situation reminds me of that every single day. And I just, through all the darkness, they are my light. So I'm on the phone with my mom, just talking to her about everything, and then this name pops in my head. So there is this man, and his wife is from Denmark, and she had found my ex.
Yeah, Prince, I'm on my walking pad so that we can get some steps in while going through the series. Gotta get some movement in somehow if I'm gonna be indoors streaming for 3 hours. And I'm also happy that it's ending for her now, and I love how supportive her family is. This is why I'm just like, if she had just said something like much sooner, it didn't have to get this far. And I agree, like, once she was in it, like, there's none of this was her fault. You're dealing with a master manipulator for your first relationship. It's, yeah, there once she was in it, there was no way that she was going to be able to navigate her way out of it.
On LinkedIn and was like, it's so rare that I meet other Danes in Dallas. Would love to have you and your wife over for dinner. So we went to dinner with them, and they were so nice, so kind. And this man is extremely successful. They were living in a very nice home, and he just felt like he wanted to take my ex under his wing, and he wanted to find him a great job. And he was also working in tech similar to my ex. So this man had taken him to like car shows. He met billionaires and made so many connections through this man. He just really wanted to be a mentor for him. And so his name popped in my head, and I was like, Mom, I gotta get off the phone. So I get off the phone and I call him and I go, hey, it's Onyeka. And he goes, hey. And I go, is everything okay? He goes, how can I help you? And I go, did my ex take money from you? And he says, that motherfucker took $30,000 from me.
Woo!
And I was just so shook. Like, another victim, and this man was just trying to help him. That's all he was guilty of, was trying to help him. And so I asked him, I go, how did he get all this money from you? And he said, well, he told me he was investing in this land. He was building a quadruplex, and he had to rerun the water lines, and he was looking for investors. He said they had 10 to 15 business meetings before this man gave my ex a dime. And he said, listen, Onyeka, I'm a man that's found a lot of success in my life. I have $1.5 million worth of cars. I have $500,000 worth of watches. This man had to work hard to pull one over on me. He said, I have loaded guns in every single room in my house. I didn't know if this man was a part of a group. And I asked him, I go, why didn't you bring this up to me? He goes, well, Onyeka, you're Nigerian. Like, that's a scamming capital of the world. I didn't know if you were in on it. And that's when the irony hit me. I'm Nigerian, and I'm a proud Nigerian. I tell people it's my biggest flex. But the country's not perfect. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. But one of our weaknesses is that there's a ton of scammers.
Yep.
Versus Denmark, who's considered to be this prestigious, wealthy, happy country. So the fact that a Danish man pulled this over on a Nigerian, or Nigerians collectively,
is wild.
It just blew my mind. And that's when he says, I'm going to tell you something else that's probably going to blow your mind. And I said, what is it? And we will continue on in part 24.
Oh, gosh.
The Danish Deception, part 20.
What happened? Did we miss another part? Okay. Nah, I am not going to allow us to miss part 24. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a 10-minute break, and I'll get part 24 downloaded so that we can watch it together. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of a bathroom break and grab some tea as well. So we will be back in 10 minutes. See you soon. See you soon, Prince.
Look and see, there is no one at my right hand. No one is concerned for me. I have no refuge, no one cares for my life. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you. In the path where I walk, they have hidden a snare for me. I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out before Him my complaint. Before Him I tell my trouble. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who watch over my way. In the path where I walk, people have hidden a snare for me. Look and see, there is no one at my right hand, no one is concerned for me. Look and see, there is no one at my right hand, no one is concerned for me. I cry to you, Lord. I say you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Listen to my cry, for I am in desperate need. Rescue me from those who pursue me, for they are too strong for me. Set me free from my prison, that I may praise your name. Then the righteous will gather about me because of your goodness to me.
Hear my prayer, oh Lord. Listen to my plea.
We make eye contact, and there's one split second.
Answer me because you are faithful and righteous. Don't put your servant on trial, for no one is innocent before you. My enemy has chased me, he has knocked me to the ground, and forces me to live in darkness like those in the grave. I am losing all hope. I am paralyzed with fear. I am losing all hope. I am paralyzed with fear. I am losing all hope. to do your will, for you are my God. May your gracious spirit lead me forward on a firm footing, for the glory of your name, oh Lord, preserve my life. Because of your faithfulness, bring me out of this distress in your unfailing love. Silence all my enemies and destroy all my foes. Oh, Sarah, teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Your unfailing love, silence all my enemies and destroy all my foes. For I am your servant. For I am your servant. For I am your servant. I am trusting you. I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice for mercy. I pour out before him my complaint. Before him I tell my trouble. Before him I lay it all bare. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who watch my way. In the path where I walk, they have hidden the snare for me. Look and see, there is no one, no one at my right hand, no one is concerned for me. I have no refuge, no one cares for my life. When my spirit grows faint within, ooh, it is you who watch my way. In the path where I walk, they have hidden the snare for me. I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out before him my complaint. Before him I tell my trouble. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who I in the path where I walk, people have hidden the snare for me. Look and see, there is no one at my right hand, no one is concerned for me.
I actually filed a lawsuit against him.
I have no refuge, no one change for my life. I cry to the Lord. I say you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Listen to my cry, for I am in desperate need. Rescue me from those who pursue me, for they are too strong for me. Set me free from my prison, that I may praise your name. Then the righteous will gather about me.
Okay, we are back. I hope that you enjoyed the little break. Okay, let's get to part 24. Also, I realized that my stepwatch, or my my step counter, or like my what's it called, my fitness watch has been dead. So I've been trying to get my steps in and nothing's been recording. That always drives me nuts. But let's get back to this because I'm so curious about the conclusion of the story.
The Danish Deception, part 24. So I'm on the phone with his mentor friend, former friend, and he tells me, well, you want to know what else is going to blow your mind? And I said, sure, tell me. He goes, I actually filed a lawsuit against him. And I said, you did what?
Oh, what?
He said, I filed a lawsuit against him and I served him via courier. And I was like, wait, what? He had filed a lawsuit 3 months prior. And I was just sitting there like, wait, but you got served via courier. Like I was home. Like, I don't know if I was home, and then I remembered a specific day where he walked
Thanks
to
for
the
sticking
door,
around, Prince.
received a package, and I asked him, or like an envelope, I asked him, I'm like, what is that? He said it was the incorporation documents for his LLC, which he had just formed the day before. And so I was like, damn, that was fast. He said, I expedited them. No, he was just getting served. On top of that, before the mentor friend would give him any money, he wanted to get some collateral. So my ex, what does he do? He gives him the Rolex watches as collateral,
That's
which
why
turn
he's selling
out
them.
to be fake.
Are we surprised?
So him taking that $50,000 watch to the village, yeah, he quite literally did not have anything to lose. The absolute worst part was that this man had just lost his job 4 days prior to getting conned, and his wife is sick. Let that sink in for a little bit. So that conversation with the mentor, I feel like that conversation really just shaped me and shaped my mindset. And it was right then when I realized that I need to fight back. So a lot of you are probably wondering, like, why are you putting this story out there? Aren't you embarrassed? Don't you feel shame? Well, yeah, but is it worth me being silent if he can go out and continue to find more and more victims? Yeah. Do the other victims deserve that? What if someone had done what I'm doing right now? I wouldn't be in this position. Yeah. So I feel proud of myself that I can sit here and I can share with everyone the details of what happened to me so that we can prevent this from happening to other people. And at the end of the day, silence is abusers' greatest weapon.
Yep.
It's time to take the power back. At that point, I have now cut off all communication with my ex since the day before when I was just going off on him, calling him a coward and a lunatic. And he then proceeds to start sending me messages, begging for me back, telling me how much he loves me, telling me how we can work on our relationship and get back to what we were. And let me just tell you, I have never had my phone blown up to this extent ever in my entire life.
Yep.
You guys want to take a gander?
That's pretty expected for an abuser who's losing control.
And it was
or
hilarious
an addict who's losing
because
control.
you could tell that so many of his messages came from ChatGPT.
That's hilarious.
And I could tell, like, it was so easy to tell. And obviously you guys don't need to see all the messages, but I will do you guys a solid and I will read you my favorite one. Nothing makes sense without you. We had so many plans ahead of us, some of which we can still get to do. Others we will miss. That's okay. We have an entire life together, right in front of us, if you want it. You are perfect and required not to change a single thing. I have many battles to fight and
okay, it's fine if you want to use ChatGPT and stuff like that, but you got to go through and edit it so that it actually sounds like you, because even as she's reading it, it's like, who even texts like this? He doesn't talk like this. That's actually insane.
overcome. I will rise from this stronger than ever if you choose to stand by my side while I go to war for you, for us. I'm aware of the fact that a lot of people hate me for what I've put you through.
Full on
what I've put
ChatGPT
them
vomit.
through, family members and friends. But I also know that a lot of them are good people whom over time will forgive my actions if I make the right amends.
Wow.
Many of the same people have witnessed my love, loyalty, and generosity, even when I had very little to give. I am devoted to change for you, for everyone around you. I will put all my pride aside and show you that we can come back from this if you'll let me. You might think I sound crazy, delusional to think I stand a chance. I am crazy, crazy in love with you.
Ugh.
I'll go through extreme lengths to show you that. And y'all, he ended every single message with this one part. I love you. I will always love you with all of my heart. I'll go to the end of the world for you. An actual psychopath. It's funny because I actually put that message in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, this is emotionally manipulative. He's minimizing the emotional and financial damage he's caused by saying that everyone's going to make amends with him. He puts you on a pedestal telling you you're perfect so that you'll feel like you need to fix him.
Yep.
He's saying that he's almost like a hero because he's going to go to war for you. And no, I didn't talk to my people, but I should have been talking to ChatGPT because he would have known. He would have talked some sense into me. So I hired a lawyer less than a week after everything went down. He was referred to me by one of my friends. You know who you are. Thank you again. And my lawyer was a wonderful one.
Yeah, Prince, I feel like right now she's actually back to who she used to be at the beginning, where like the fog has lifted and she's back to her usual personality. Like, love is beautiful and everything like that, but when love, it's like an unhealthy and abusive relationship, it can really change who you are. And it's like we've seen her shift her personality into this woman who was getting emotionally manipulated back to who she truly was at the very beginning. So I'm happy that she's come back into herself for sure.
He was so good. We were able to file the petition, file for divorce, and he said, listen, it might be easier to make this thing just go quickly if we can just get him to sign. And it worked out so well because I live in Texas, which is a separate property state. So my house, which I purchased before I met him, was my home for the taking, and he could not have any piece of it. And I had not put his name on the deed. I was about to, but I didn't. Thank you, God.
My gosh.
Obviously, my car was mine. So really, he couldn't take anything from me, which made me very, very happy.
Yeah.
We filed the petition, and I didn't hear from my ex for quite some time. And I'm sitting in a therapy session, and I get a text from him after not hearing from him for about a week. And he's basically saying that, you know, he still loves me and he really wants me back, but he also really needs his passport and his green card back. And he said, just so you know, it's illegal to hold on to someone's passport.
Just so you know, it's illegal to scam people out of money. I love how now he loves the law.
Card. And I was like, you want to talk to me about legality? And then he said, talk to me, text me back. He goes, file a lawsuit with me or work with me. And I'm like, you want to talk to me about lawsuits? And so I reached out to my lawyer. I'm like, hey, what's going on with the docs? Like, you think it's gonna be happening soon? And he was working so fast. Him and his associate were working so quick. And he said, actually, I think I'm gonna have them done this week. But it'd be so much quicker if we just get him to sign. And I was like, honestly, I am down. I will meet with him just one time to get it signed. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, my friend Chris, and he said, Onyeka, I will go meet him for you. And I was like, are you sure? He said, yes. I'm like, thank you so much. So my ex starts blowing me up, and I text my friend. I go, please send him a message just to say the divorce documents will be ready for you to sign this week, and then I will be able to provide you with my passport. It wasn't a sign these in order to get your passport. There was no duress. Got to say that for legal reasons. There was no duress. And then he texts me and he goes, this is heartbreaking, because I don't think he actually thought I was going to file, which is insane. And then he proceeds to start blowing me up again.
He's spiraling.
Round 2. He's telling me
insane.
he loves me and that he doesn't think we should give up on our rare love and that he got a new job in Dallas and he's going to provide for me and yada, yada, yada. And I'm still not responding. And then he starts sending me voice memos. And the voice memos are getting kind of creepy because he's saying, I'm going crazy. I'm going out of my mind. I think I'm going to show up. And like, obviously I feel safe and I'm not scared of him. Like, I will beat him if he shows up. I'm not.
I love that she got back to her old personality, but I also forgot her old personality was also slightly delulu and did not have the best safety consciousness as a woman. As a woman who has been stalked and also in narcissistic abuse relationships again, if that man shows up and is with all 6 foot of him, keep that in mind, and decides to exert his power over you, can we BFFR? You are not going to win that fight. So it's great that she is in a more empowered state. I really don't know why, like, as a woman, like, she doesn't have, like, that safety consciousness, like, popping into her head, like, once again, hopping onto a flight with no air tags, going to see a man that you've only met in person once. Her safety, her self-awareness for her safety is still lacking, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's from, like, a privilege standpoint or what it is, but this statement is insane, because men can do the most, especially when they are spiraling. Men can do the most. Men have done the most. There's women who have been unalived because of these situations and the loss of control, or like the feeling of loss of control when a narcissist or an abuser is going through things like this, when they feel like they have no control over the situation. So for her to be like, oh, I still felt safe, girl, I am very happy that you have had a life where you have not had your boundaries cross the extent where a man has made you feel unsafe in your home, in your own city, in your own country. Because in a situation like this where a man is saying like, oh, I'd pop up, I wouldn't be sleeping in my home until all of this is figured out. And I would personally actually be filing a restraining order, because when you start to get voice notes like that, that can be someone just saying words until they start putting the words into action. She's not going to win against a 6 foot tall Danish man. Even if the man doesn't know how to fight, men have testosterone for a reason.
Not scared. And he sends me a voice memo saying, good morning, I love you, and I'll see you very soon. And I said, what do you mean see you very soon? So I sent a message to my neighbor. I go, hey, if my ex shows up, I'm gonna need you to tell him to leave. She said, I got you.
Thank goodness.
Okay, sounds good. So Saturday comes around, and now we're like in the middle of September. And I'm walking my dog. I had just walked out of the house, and I look up, and there's an SUV pulling up right next to me. And I look up, and there's my ex. And we will continue on in part 25.
Okay. Let's get to part 25. I just downloaded them separately because I saw that mine abruptly cut off. My previous video abruptly cut off. So let me pop to part 25.
The Danish Deception, part 25. So I look up, I see him, and we make eye contact, and there's one split second where he looks at me, and then he says, hey babe, can we talk? And then I proceeded to scream bloody murder.
Babe.
And when I say scream bloody murder, I mean people are stopping on the road and they think I'm about to get kidnapped. Bloody murder. And, well, I can demonstrate it for you. Get the fuck away from me! Fuck yes! Fuck you! Get the fuck away from me! I'm sorry, guys. I had to do that because I needed you guys to understand what I meant. But, like, times that volume by, like, 100. I was screaming bloody murder.
As she should.
And then
he don't know what this man's
off
gonna
and
do.
drives away.
Good.
And then he texted me, okay, I get it. I love you. That's all. I won't do that again. My heart is bleeding, and I don't understand that you want to give up on love. But if that's your decision, so be it. Goodbye, babe. It was always just love. Even me coming by. And then I sent him a text because, I've been ignoring him for weeks now. So I was like, maybe I need to just send him a message so he knows how I really feel. And this is the last message I have ever sent him. Do not ever show up to my home again. I do not want to see you. I do not want to be with you. I do not love you anymore. Nothing you can say or do will ever change that. You make me sick.
Someone capable of the evil you've committed on my life and the lives of so many is not capable of redemption. This divorce is happening whether you want it to or not.
Good.
And then in all caps, leave me the fuck alone. And all he responded was, I understand now. So that was obviously a very traumatic experience for me. I immediately drove to my friend Priscilla's house and I was just crying and shaking because I just could not believe I was in person with him, like that I had seen him in person. It was just, I was shaken, but I also felt good because I always kind of wondered, like, what if he does pull up? Like, how am I gonna feel? And it was just anger, just hot rage. So I'm good with that. Later on that night, it was my really good friend Nicole's birthday party, and something you guys should know is for that month, I was completely depressed. I barely got out of bed.
Understandably.
I tried to stay active, but it was really bad. I just laid in my bed and watched Criminal Minds for like a month straight. And this was actually my first time going back out into society for this birthday dinner. And we go to this restaurant, and let me tell you, it was a traumatic day, but I was like, I will cut off my right arm before I miss this birthday dinner because this friend, Nicole, she has been there for me tremendously, and I love her so much. I would not miss this dinner for the world. And so we go to dinner, have a great dinner. Afterwards, we were grabbing drinks at a cocktail bar, having fun. It's like about to close. It's like 1:30, but it closes at 2. But around 1:30, I was feeling a little bit tired. So I was like, I'm gonna go home. And so I go home, and the next morning I go to church, and I get a text from Nicole, and she said, can you call me after you get done with church? And I said, of course. So I get home, and then I call her, and she's like, hey. And I was like, what's up? And she's like, I just, and I'm like, what? Come out with it. And she's like, oh, and I was like, why don't you just come over? She's like, okay, I'll come over. So she comes over, and I'm like, I'm wondering what she needs to tell me that's so like uncomfortable. She can't tell me over the phone. She walks into my house. She sits down, and she looks at me, and she says, I saw your ex last night. And I was like, I was with you till 1:30. Where did you see him? She was like, my building. And she lives in a building that is residences and a hotel and like restaurants and a cocktail bar. There's a lot of people in this establishment.
What the heck?
And she was getting home because she lives in the residences, and she saw my ex with a woman that, let me just say, based on the way she was described to me, I would think she was a street hooker, 100%. And it was also kind of communicated to me that she might be like a 1 out of 10. And my ex was with her. And
okay, that could have been left out. I understand that she's hurting and that she's grieving, but to put down another woman who is, keep in mind, potentially another victim, I'm sure like maybe at this point Onyeka wasn't thinking about it, but now she's been through therapy, she's been processing this, to still leave that part in there, it doesn't sit right with me. It actually says quite a bit about her personality, because if this man, your ex, is now with another woman, this is potentially another victim. And you're on here on your public social media platform putting down her looks and how she's dressed, which is really gross. So that part didn't need to be included in there. That was so unnecessary.
And he was holding her jacket and getting cash out of the ATM at 2:15 in the morning. So, you know, we all have our guesses on what that could have been. So she tells me, and I'm like, okay, so cool. He's hanging out with prostitutes in public. Love that. And at this point, I had not announced our breakup. And you guys know I did a post telling people we weren't together. This was like before that. And so at that point, I felt so disrespected because, you know, people know me in Dallas, and they're gonna see him with a hooker, and it's just so disrespectful to me. And I'm like, after everything you've done, like, you're still going, you're still not finished. And so I send a message to his sister just saying that I'm absolutely disgusted with him. So I tell her everything, and my friend actually got photographs of this man holding her jacket. Like, she got the photos. And she asked me, are you comfortable with me reaching out to him and letting him know? I said, absolutely, I don't care. So she reaches out to him, And then he sends me a text and says, I was not buying sex last night. I was buying weed.
I know
He said, I was having a really dark night, and for the first time in a long time, I went out to drink, and I haven't been sleeping, and I met someone that would sell me weed so I could finally sleep again. I don't appreciate you going with that information to my family. And then he said, called out my friend by name, and Nicole needs to watch her mouth because she was looking all drugged up.
Wow.
He didn't know that I was with her 30 minutes before she saw him. She was sober. We had had like 4 glasses of wine that night. So she got drugged within 30 minutes. Oh, and she was also able to take 15 pictures of you holding the prostitute's jacket.
Right, Prince?
Mind you, he's also texting another one of our friends, Rob, one of the other victims that he used to be good friends with, saying, I can't believe Onyeka would ever think I'd be with a prostitute. That girl was actually a doctor.
Why is he now?
And he also sends a screenshot of the receipt of his withdrawal.
This
and it
is
was
so
$40.
embarrassing. Like, this man is spiraling.
And I'm thinking there's 3 different options. Number 1, he saw my friend and he was like, let me take out a small withdrawal so I have something to back up my lie. And he clearly saw her because he called her out by name.
Wow.
Number 2, he was conning the prostitute and he said, hey, I only have $40 right now, but I'll pay you back the rest. Something with his Danish account. Bullshit. I don't know. And number 3.
Okay, so the fact that she acknowledges that he was probably conning this potential sex worker, because we don't fully know if that's if she truly is, that's it really, Onyeka, it really does say a lot about your personality that you felt the need to mention that, oh, like, apparently this woman's like a 1. That really does, that one is gross, especially since we know by and large, at least like the majority of S workers, they do it more so out of necessity than wanting to. There are some S workers who genuinely enjoy that and that's what they want to do, but a lot of them, it's out of desperation and out of necessity. So that comment, so unneeded, so unnecessary, and not really justifiable, because at the end of the day, it's another woman who's trying to survive and has fallen victim to your partner too. So let's keep that in mind. Yeah.
The prostitute was $40. Could be any of those 3 options.
Prince, he's still a man.
I was
still not a
hurt by
man.
the situation, but it just, at this point, I'm not even surprised because this man is crazy. I allowed myself to shed 1 tear and then I was like, I'm done. And following week, my friend Chris met up with him and he signed the divorce papers and had no problem with anything that I put in there. Awesome. And that was the greatest day, and my divorce was officially finalized on November 4th of 2025.
Oh!
So I'm happy and I'm excited to move on, and I'll have a little conclusion video at the end of this, but I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being here and letting me bare my soul to you guys. This has been the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. And y'all's support means the world to me. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Danish Deception.
She's only been divorced for 28 days. It'll be a full month in 2 days. Wow. Prince, thank you for watching with me. And I mean, this is her telling her story, right? I did download the conclusion video because I do want to see it. And I do think it's important to share stories like this. I feel like we should do the series on Risa Tisa, the Who the F Did I Marry series, because I haven't watched that series to completion, and that one's also about I think that guy's a pathological liar. I don't think he was a gambler. But it is really great that these women are finding the strength and the courage to come out with these stories so that more women and men are aware of these kind of manipulative partners, because pathological liars, addicts, narcissists, they will use a lot of manipulation and gaslighting and emotional and just like emotional baiting to get you into their trap, right? So the more that we actually watch these videos and learn from these women and the actions that led them to where they ended up being, the more that we can all be more aware of these kind of predators, because that's what they really are at the end of the day. They're just predators, right? But
The
let's
Danish
go
Deception,
to
part
oh,
20.
let me find the conclusion.
The Danish Deception, part 25.
Oh, wait, did I not download the conclusion video? I was so sure that I did. 25. Oh, okay, one moment. Let me grab the conclusion video. We can watch it from Onyeka's TikTok. But, aw, thanks, Prince. I feel like the world doesn't need more people like me. I feel like the world has enough ADHDers raw dogging through life a little bit. But I really do appreciate you sticking around, and I also appreciate our YouTube audience as well. I am still going to download this just because y'all know my network is not the most reliable. So I don't want to risk streaming this and us having to like watch it lag like it did the last time. But yeah, I'm really happy for her that she ended up getting out of this relationship, and obviously she's still very much like actively in her healing journey. I do pray for her that she'll actually be able to deal with some of the resentment that she does have towards that family, because that part still does not sit right with my soul at all, in terms of like how she's like, how did they not tell me any of this, because you once again chose to marry the man even before meeting the family. So that part didn't sit right with me. And then this comment about the potential S worker also didn't sit right with me, because at the end of the day, anytime this man is with another woman, we can assume that he is scamming her and conning her, because like the therapist said, this is a guy who has the worst gambling addiction that they've ever seen. So this guy's probably never going to change, meaning that anytime that he's with someone or close to someone, he is actively trying to get money out of them. So we can assume anyone who's with him is a victim. So that S worker did not deserve any of the comments that Onyeka made in the last video.
Welcome to the Danish Deception, the conclusion. So
let me go and grab some tea.
I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of like put a little bow on top of this present I just gave y'all. I'm obviously not a psychologist, but I have diagnosed him myself with narcissistic borderline personality disorder. If you're a psychologist, I'd love to know your thoughts, so comment below. But 100% I think he has that mental disorder, in addition to his gambling addiction, which is just a recipe for disaster. I know a lot of you are wondering, how the hell did this man con this many people? And this is what I think. Someone might disagree with me. Number one, his looks. He's a very charming, charismatic man. I've mentioned that multiple times. He's highly, highly, highly intelligent. He knows how to play with people's weaknesses. Like, I think that's why every single person he reached out to, he had different lies. He was a great listener, and it was really easy to connect with him. And because of that, he was able to build so much trust with all of these people. And him being from Denmark didn't help. I feel like that piece was very critical in all of his different cons. I don't know how he conned people in Denmark. I'm sure he had some other way to do it. But yes, I have.
I think it does say a lot that, because he, like, one of the first things that she mentioned is like he's very, very good looking. That doesn't factor into whether I trust someone or not. Their physical appearance is not going to factor into whether I trust them. And also a very common tactic that people with narcissism or people who are addicts that have learned to just like be really emotionally manipulative is that you learn that whenever you make someone feel heard and listened to, you do form that emotional attachment more. And this is something that I do as someone who is a health coach. We hold space for a lot of people, and they do feel more connected because we are actually holding space for them. But when you're in a dating capacity, because my narcissistic ex, one thing that I picked up on our very first date, and that should have been a red flag, but I didn't know what the signs of someone with narcissistic personality disorder looked like, was that he would ask me questions about myself only and just get me to talk a lot. And then when I would try to ask questions back to him, he would give me very like short answers, or he would just find a way to kind of like skirt around my question so that I would keep talking. And that's because he was using the fact that as humans, when we share about ourselves, we and we feel like someone's a good listener, we are more likely to feel connected to them faster than if it was like a back and forth conversation that's equal parts. But if no one within her friend circle or her family circle had ever met someone who is potentially narcissistic or manipulative or abusive, they wouldn't know that that could be a potential red flag, right? I feel like the biggest like mistake in all of this from all parts is the fact that there just wasn't the communication around what was going on. And I understand, like I said, if someone says, hey, like, keep this a secret because I'm trying to give her a surprise, okay, cool, but I'm going to verify that you got the surprise that I gave you thousands of dollars for. So there seems to be this weird communication breakdown within this friend and family circle, which is really interesting. And I feel like that's what made it much easier for him to be able to scam so many people within her circle, because no one was actually communicating with each other about what they were experiencing with this man.
Already received a lot of messages from people saying that my ex also conned them. I actually talked to a girl that dated him while he was with me and his ex. So now
look at that. Are we surprised? I bet you anything it is going to come out that he had another girlfriend or wife, potentially wife, while he was with her, or closer to the end, where he just so abruptly like dropped everything and decided to pack his bags and leave. I bet you anything there's going to be another woman that comes out.
There's someone that was added into that mix. I also know that there's a group of people at a company he used to work with, and he conned
Prince, we'll talk about that in a moment, for sure.
from
Let's wrap this
that
up.
company, and he actually ended up getting fired. So I'm learning a lot. Another ex-girlfriend reached out to me. I'm learning a lot. So at this time, I'm going to tell all of you, I'm not collecting tips because I'm building a case. My goal is to get this man in prison.
Absolutely.
He does not deserve to be a part of society.
Absolutely.
And
I fully agree with her.
I'm trying to build up as much evidence as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name his name. I don't need to. But if you have any tips, or if you've also been a victim of this psychopath,
I thought she said she wasn't
send an
collecting
email
tips.
to danishdeceptiontips@gmail.com. Side note, should I share with you guys the tips as I get them? Could that be like a little fun segment? Maybe comment below if that's something you'd be into. And now that concludes the Danish Deception.
Okay.
Thank you and have a great night.
Wow. Okay, so that was the Danish Deception in its entirety. I feel like maybe Thursday or Friday, I do want to go and download the videos and the follow-up videos that she's made since then, because she actually does have quite a few. One moment, I gotta turn off my Alexa. But I do want to actually see what her updates are, as well as the other victims that have come out, and she seems to be keeping up with the notification with. She seems to be updating us as things are going on. But Prince, I do agree that cheating is more prevalent now, and I do wonder what that is due to. I feel like part of that's probably due to the fact that we have easier access to each other with like the invention of dating apps and everything like that. Also, people are not getting married as much anymore. So like the people valuing commitment is not there as much, but you're also having a generation where at least half of us are coming from broken homes. And if you are not witnessing healthy love within your household, within the foundation, which is your parents, then it can be hard for you to know how to maintain and sustain a relationship, because you didn't grow up watching your parents be able to maintain and sustain a relationship. And also, there's a very large amount of us who have gone through trauma. And unhealed trauma shows up in very different ways for people. And I feel like that also impacts people's ability to connect with each other and to be willing to stay through a journey or a relationship with someone if they are having hard times, because oftentimes people will be like, it's just easier to find someone else than to work through the really, really hard times, which is what is needed in marriage. People are also, have their physical needs. And I do think an issue that comes up in cheating is mismatched libidos. I do think that being with someone or getting married to someone without understanding what their sexual needs are and what their sexual capacity is absolutely insane. Just having conversation about it, you don't necessarily need to sleep with them. But if you have someone who has a really high sex drive and someone who has a really low sex drive, and then you guys get married, that can be a really, really extremely rocky relationship. And oftentimes it doesn't work out, and that can lead to extramarital activities because of that. So I also think people not having proper conversations about what is needed for them to be able to sustain a healthy relationship. Like, I wouldn't marry someone who has a significantly different libido than me, because that would mean either one of the partners is not going to be satisfied, one of them is going to get annoyed with being asked about sex so much, and the other is going to get annoyed with not getting sex enough to what they need to feel satisfied. So yeah, cheating is definitely more common now, or maybe it's always been common, it just hasn't been as widely publicized. I feel like TikTok and Reels and all of that stuff has made these trends so much, like, we talk about a lot of things more now because of how social media has gone about. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this man was cheating multiple times. I do pray that she ended up getting some health tests, some STI tests done, because with a man like this and how much he lies, you truly cannot trust anything that he said. So yeah, I pray that Onyeka, she continues to heal, and that there is justice that is served. This man does deserve to be in jail, rightfully so. And if she's putting together a lawsuit, I feel like she can do so with that millionaire who loaned him money and already served him. They could probably put together a class action lawsuit against this man and get him in jail, because, or if not in jail, at least committed to a mental institution, because he is going to continue to commit fraud, or he's going to end up borrowing money from the wrong people and ruin his life that way. But this is a person that, like, I feel bad for his mom, because his mom is, because the dad passed away, so I'm sure the mom is completely distraught with how he has turned out, and the fact that he has continued to scam so many people out of thousands and thousands of dollars. I know on my cover I put like that he stole over $300,000, but I think at this point we know that he's stolen probably well over more than $1 million from people, if we're thinking about like the people that he's also scammed in Denmark and like overseas, right? Yeah, Prince, social media definitely has glorified people not committing to each other. And it is really, really sad to see that. And they don't see the difference between real versus actual real, like real life and reality. And I feel like one thing that I do want to do is react to some of the family vloggers. Now, I've got to figure out how I want to do that, because I absolutely hate the exploitation of children. But I feel like the family vloggers and painting this fake life, or even doing these like cheating pranks and everything like that, I feel like that's also, or family vloggers who have ended up like cheating on their spouses and publicized it and then still stuck together and everything like that, I feel like that has also made cheating seem significantly more normalized, especially when we see social media relationships where they're constantly breaking up and fighting and getting back together and all of that stuff. If you are watching that growing up in your teens and you're like, oh yeah, like for example, Coco Bliss and I Heart Memphis, I enjoy watching their content mainly because I'm rooting for Coco to get out of that relationship, especially now that she has a baby. But the amount of times that man was cheating on her, sometimes with children, or not children, but people that were of a questionable age, because he started seeing Coco when she was 16 and he was in his 20s, which is grooming at best, illegal at worst. So like watching relationships like that, when people were their age, like Coco's age, like 15, 16, 17, watching relationships like that, it becomes normalized that your partner's cheating on you, that he's stepping out with people, that you guys break up and get back together. And then you have a whole generation that's numb to the concept of cheating, when previously we would hear that someone would cheat and we'd be like absolutely horrified. Now, yes, there's still a stigma around it, but I feel like people aren't as surprised by it because cheating is so much more common. But it is 9 a.m. on my end. This has been a really great stream. Thank you to everyone who joined throughout the stream. Prince, thank you for engaging and sticking around. It was wonderful to catch up with you. And I will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. PST, which is 12 p.m. Eastern, for us to do Bible study and devotional together. And then we'll have that 1 hour of our scripture reading and devotional, and then we'll have that about 1 hour of independent Bible studies, so that you can spend time with the Lord and get back into your Bible study habits. Because like I said in our reaction today, when this Danish man decided that he wants to get closer to God, which was definitely for religious manipulation, the devil also knows God's word. So if you do not know God's word for yourself, outside of going to church every Sunday, you can easily fall into religious manipulation and attacks by the enemy. So I am going to do my best to foster all of us, including myself, getting back into the word and having our independent walks with God. But we'll always start with a little bit of a devotional and chatting together at the beginning, and then we will hold each other accountable to spending at least 1 hour quietly with God and praying as well. So thank you all so much for being here today. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow. Thanks, Prince. Bye.